Celtics are front and center this morning. Last night, the team signed Drew Holiday to a 4-year, $135 million contract extension. He originally declined the option year of his former deal to get this one done. He's locked up through the 2027-28 season. Celtics are back home to face the Knicks at the Garden tonight. Grandy and Max have the pregame at 7 and the tip-off at 7:30 on the BetMGM 98.5 The Sports Hub Celtics Radio Network. Holiday, by the way, one of 6 people listed as questionable for the Celtics, along with Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Al Horford, Kristaps Porzingis, and Xavier Tillman. After hurting himself against the Celtics 2 nights ago, the Milwaukee Bucks have ruled out Giannis Antetokounmpo for the rest of the regular season. An MRI has revealed only a strained calf. Red Sox blew a 5-0 sixth-inning lead. They lost to Baltimore 7-5 at Fenway Park. Jordan Westbrook, the go-ahead 3-run home run in the top of the 7th. The Sox are now 7-5. They'll try to avoid being swept tonight. Bruins off until Saturday night when they go to Pittsburgh. They lead Florida by 3 points for first place with 3 to go. The Panthers host Columbus this evening. The NHL is reportedly closing in on a deal to move the Arizona Coyotes to Salt Lake City as soon as this summer. The deal is a contingency plan at the moment. 2 different schedules for next season are possible, and weather permitting, the first round of the Masters will begin today at Augusta. Play has already been moved back 1 hour to 9 a.m. thanks to severe thunderstorms in the area. Sports Hub headlines are driven by the Albrecht Auto Group, Zoe's Auto Dealer. Get respect at Albrecht with 7 locations and thousands of new and pre-owned vehicles. Get the right vehicle at the right price now at albrechtauto.com. I'm John Wallach at Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 6:30.
Al Horford.
This is Al Horford.
Al Horford catching slam. Horford for 3.
You're listening to the home of Boston Celtics basketball, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Dutcher and Hardy, the reviews are in.
I got to say, I want to talk about you. Give me about 5 minutes of my time.
Hear what he said. Now more of on the Sports Hub.
Fred, hello. Hello. Hello.
Mm-hmm.
Hello. 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 Hello.
He's naked. He has a sword.
Let's talk about cheese.
Bruins are back from the West Coast.
What the
Is it okay to use this for the radio?
Yeah, welcome to the show, you sweet bitch.
Now Rocky had a cut-off leg to deal with. But she was a cop. A cop's cop. She slung the soaked limb over her shoulder and waded back towards the beach. Hey, fatso.
Yeah. You owe me royalty. Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning. We are Dutcher and Hardy. We're in the Town Fair Tires studios. You can watch us now on YouTube every morning. Search 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube and subscribe. Smash the subscribe button, you know. Improve our algorithm to keep up to date with the best moments from Boston's Home for Sports. Joe Murray's on there. Joe Murray, who his 18 to 34 numbers in the ratings. I don't mean to give anything away, but I mean he's like at 50%, 52% or something.
He's doing okay.
I mean, Joe's got to be walking around pretty confident now. Joey.
He's tapping in. He's tapping into the young demographic.
Yeah, he is.
He's got his finger on the pulse. What the kids want, what they want to hear.
They want to hear a man getting free stuff. That is what the people want to hear.
They want to know what he wants to eat.
Yep.
That's what he wants. That's what the young kids want. 18 to 34. What is Joe eating tonight?
It is the eating generation. They want to hear, they want to name a town and have him tell you where to get the best sandwich.
Where can I get fried clams? That's all they want to know.
That has been a show, and so you probably know because you said it.
Yes, of course I know.
That was a Saturday show when I fell in love with Joe. And he better not stray too far
off.
from this.
It was fantastic.
He better not stray too far from this. He better not lose what made him Joe, or I'm going to be very upset.
Hey, I saw a guy wearing an old school Red Sox road uniform at Fenway Park on Tuesday with the baseball cap on backwards. That's Joe Murray right there.
What was the picture you showed me that T-Bone sent you about? It was of McCarthy and yeah. What was going on?
It was at their live broadcast from the Red Sox home opener, and for some reason, both Joe Murray and Matt McCarthy decided at some point in the program to turn their hats around backward, their caps, rally cap style, and T-Bone from the Midday Show did a split screen of those two sitting there with their backwards hats, and George Costanza turning his hat around so he could be like, Tony, I brought you some salmon salad because I know you don't like peanut butter, Tony.
You know why I put my hat on backwards?
Why is that?
Because the only thing this Boston bee deserves to see is my derriere.
Did you talk to Matt McCarthy when he was in here the other day?
I talk to him every time he's in here.
Okay, he's okay.
First of all, he's a large individual, so I don't want to upset him. But second of all, I don't know. Why would it bother you?
No,
because I don't know.
But I don't count myself among the normal.
I
in
have
terms of feelings and things.
It's funny because I have this thing. If I don't think I'm saying anything bad, then the person would never think I was saying anything bad. So that I don't say anything personal about him. It's just what I think he sounds like saying stuff about the Red Sox. There's no personal stuff in it, so I don't feel uncomfortable when I see him.
I'm glad you described him as a large individual because he used to be absurdly thin, and it's not like he's overweight or anything, but he is. I mean, he's got to be all of 6'5".
Yeah,
right?
yeah. He's more tall than he is wide, but yeah, he's like a big guy.
Yeah, he's not wide at all. He's a proportioned 6'5" human.
Yeah,
and he's a big guy.
He might be as tall as Zolak.
I think he is.
Yeah. So he's not as big as Zolak, but he is as tall as Zolak.
No, he's not as large, but right.
That's not what I meant, but I know you started to grin.
What's that about?
Zolak tends to yo-yo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Who doesn't?
Well, listen, certainly. Well, I'll tell you who doesn't yo-yo me. I can't. I got that. I lost the 30 some odd pounds, and then it just stuck. I can't lose no more.
Did you plateau?
Baby, I plateaued like there's no tomorrow. And there's days I don't. Yesterday I ate a lot. You know what? You know what is sad about getting older is that I do think that it hasn't been long since I've done far worse. But my thing is I think I eat too many almonds, and they're packed with calories.
Oh, Fred.
They're 9 almonds, 200 calories.
It's not worth it.
But I like the soy
wasabi
oh, yeah.
right
almonds.
there with you.
And they're from the earth. Why should they be so bad? They're not processed.
Oh, but you like them, so you should be able to have. I like the Reese's peanut butter eggs that come out every year at Easter time.
I defy you to have more than 2.
Well, that's why I limit myself to
No.
2 after every meal. I could eat them all day if you would let me.
I know, 2 after every meal year round, but I would you get enough.
They change the shape. In the fall there'll be a little pumpkin.
Oh,
and
yeah,
then
cute.
at Christmas time there'll be
They're
a little
cross.
Christmas tree. A cross.
Yes,
Yeah.
At Easter they have 2. They have, if you're a pagan, they have eggs, and if you're a real guy, they have chocolate Christ on the cross.
Right. They hand those out at services.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
They do one for Veterans Day. It's a little Iwo Jima. Damn it. I screwed up my own little funny thing there. Iwo Jima statue.
See, I thought it
in
was
a chocolate peanut butter confection.
I thought it was the Brady Bunch at Pearl Harbor. A reenactment of that.
Right.
It's just Cindy at Pearl Harbor weeping. Do you remember when they went to Pearl Harbor?
I don't remember that.
So I I didn't understand, what the memorial at Pearl Harbor was. I've never been there, but I couldn't understand, what they were on, what they were looking at.
Okay, so they go to Hawaii, all right?
Yeah, I know what it is now.
They meet Don Ho. Well, I'm just giving you what the Brady Bunch did. They meet Don Ho.
Yeah.
Greg is surfing, huge rip. He's like on the North Shore. I mean, I'm talking about like 15-foot swells that Greg goes down. And do you remember when Greg goes down? He's riding like basically on a lake. Like Greg was like, that Greg was like, guys, I surf.
Yeah.
Let me surf on the show.
Yeah.
And they're like, sure thing, Greg. And then poor Peter is sitting there, and he's got a tarantula on his chest. And that's because they went to their father's work site and found an ancient taboo. And the taboo was bad luck, and it brought in... And then they were kidnapped by Vincent Price. Mm-hmm. But they were smart. They left a trail of popcorn, which the parents were then able to follow to find the kids tied up in a cave.
Here's the one thing I remember, and then please continue. I remember being confused watching that episode because they're out there with flashlights, but it didn't appear to be dark. And I couldn't figure out what time of day is this. And, of course, it's on a soundstage somewhere or, it's...
They were really in Hawaii, but then there was a soundstage with the of course, the cave.
Yeah.
But the thing is that they get to the cave, they find the kids tied up, they find Vincent Price there who has held them hostage, and then Vincent Price explains himself, lets the kids go, and everyone's on their merry way. Mm-hmm. There's no law enforcement. Different Strokes put an end to that, though. Mr. Drummond would come bursting in with the po-po. Mm-hmm. And Dudley's dad was not one to be trifled with. And Dudley still felt a little funny at the bike shop when they came in because he had been drugged by the guy from WKRP in Cincinnati. Who knew that the occult ran rampant in the Brady Bunch circles? But they had to almost go to Pearl Harbor because they're like, all right, like us.
Oh, I remember. Oh,
it was
Alice threw her back out trying to do the hula.
Yeah. And then not to be confused when they were in the Grand Canyon and Alice was riding the mule and then she came out bow-legged and it went boom, 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 boom every time she walked.
I remember that.
And then she crapped herself. Because
yes.
Yeah, no, not Alice, not even Alice.
Oh, you can't do that with Alice?
No.
Oh,
and then
I didn't know anything was out of bounds. Really?
What did Bobby and how did Bobby and Cindy, when they went on their adventure, how did they feed themselves?
They cannibalized a hobo.
No, there's no hobos. They found a Native American tribe.
They're in the desert, stupid.
They found a Native American tribe. They found a Native American tribe who took them in.
Indigenous peoples, please. Thank you. Continue.
Native Americans, not what you're supposed
Indigenous
to say.
Peoples, please, and thank you.
And they said, as you kids would say, it will be a groovy time. But how did they eat? How did they prepare to eat? I think Dan knows.
I don't know.
They took the tops off the flashlights and they had beans in them.
Pork and beans.
How about that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Mike knew that too right away.
Yeah.
Oh.
But then they whetted their appetites with some peyote, and they were tripping balls.
No, they got peyote at the Indigenous Peoples ceremony.
Yeah. If you know the name of the
Went to a
tribe,
sweat lodge.
I believe, in order of preference, please just, use the proper tribe name. And then Indigenous Peoples, Native American, and then, don't even say
I watched Reservation Dogs, and I think that they said Native American in that. But, I guess you'd know more than the Indigenous people,
I'm
Native
very
Americans
woke.
that made that.
I'm so woke.
Did you watch Reservation Dogs?
No, I found that to be exploitive.
Considering it was an all Native American and all cast and all crew and all the writers and directors.
Yeah, well, go behind the scenes on that, and you'll find that not to be the case.
It is the case. I've read deeply about it.
Yeah, you read what they wanted you to read. You got to read the other stuff.
Isn't that the way with everything?
It sure is.
Don't take anything on face value because you know better.
And don't let it paralyze your life by not accepting anything as a fact.
No,
you question.
That will not lead to madness and suicide.
Thing. I don't remember the WKRP guy being the guy in the bike shop because I think I only saw the episode literally once. I know exactly what it's in reference to, and I've read about it. But who was he on WKRP?
He was the station manager, the old guy. the general manager of the station.
All right.
Yeah, the Maytag guy.
A little more wine.
No, thanks. I'd rather get bitten on the teetsy.
Well, I know my friend Dudley's not going to let me down.
Yeah, Dudley was the mark in that one. Dudley was the guy. And then
he wasn't a pigeon at a poker game. He wasn't that type of a mark. He was the target.
Well, no, because Arnold, didn't want to drink.
Yeah.
But it was not just wine either. It was laced with several substances that made Dudley feel funny. And then there was a spin-off called Dudley's Therapy that was just following Dudley in the aftermath of the bike incident. And it was Dudley coming to grips with what had happened to him. All right, what happened last night? What are we going to talk about? I know it's Masters Day. They had a very big close-up of the flag on the Golf Channel. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was like the end of the programming day. I swear to God I did, because for like a minute they just showed a flag, the Masters flag, blowing in the breeze.
Well, Fred Ridley, who's the chairman of Augusta National, is speaking, and
he looks like a guy I'd want to be friends with.
Yeah, me too. I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, he doesn't look like how you'd think he'd look.
If you had to picture the chairman of the Masters at Augusta National, that's the guy. That's the guy.
He was actually one of the indigenous people children on the episode of the Brady Bunch. He's a Native American.
Interesting?
He's a Native American.
So
I'm just kidding. He wouldn't be allowed in.
I'll tell you what's happening weather-wise at Augusta. We'll tell you what happened with the Red Sox last night. We've got a whole police blotter segment in what happened last night.
Oh, boy. Not again with these athletes. I'll tell you. They're cuckoo. We will be back in just a moment.
Stay tuned for more Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Kutcher and Hardy. Hardy, what happened last evening?
Well, the Red Sox played last night, and things were looking pretty good. Cutter Crawford on the mound, allowed just 2 hits, 6 strikeouts, 5 scoreless innings in his start. Red Sox bats came alive a little bit after the dismal performance for the home opener where they got beat 7-1 by the Orioles. Tristan Casas homered in the 5th, put the Sox up 5-0, so they were in good shape last night, right up until the Orioles decided they could probably score 2.
Westberg drives one deep into center field. Jordan Westberg has given the Orioles the lead. A Weaver to the monster. It's 7-5, and they've come all the way back.
And that's your final. 7-5 last night from Fenway Park, as all of the Orioles runs were scored after that 5-0 lead built up by the Red Sox right up until the 6th inning, as John Wallach reported in his update already this morning. So
yeah, it was the debut of Jackson Holiday, which is the big story.
Yeah, Jackson Holiday.
Did you look at that kid? Have you seen what he looks like?
I have.
He's 13 years old, that guy.
Yeah.
Seriously, my kids look older than him.
His father was hairless in terms of body hair. His father was not a hairy man. He was very muscular and vascular, but not but he did not have a lot of body hair, nor does Jackson Holiday.
No,
but what I can see.
It was his first time at Fenway Park.
Yeah, it's really neat. The history of this ballpark. Got to come here as a little kid and watch my dad play, and to be able to be out there and competing, it's very special.
Yeah, he was 0 for 4.
Yeah, but he had an RBI. He
did.
Yeah, he got a ball to the other side of the infield. He scored a run. Don't worry about him.
Okay, I'm not worried about him.
He turned a double play last night. Jackson Holiday is doing okay. Hang on to your rookie cards. Don't throw them away just yet. Jackson Holiday is the new Alomar. And the new Shalimar as well. Wow. It's very sexy.
Red Sox and Orioles go again this evening. They didn't. So normally, in years past, they've built in an off day early on in the season. But is that only when they open at home? Because they almost always open up out on the West Coast.
Yeah,
or out of the country. Yeah.
Yeah, they usually have opening day, then an off day, and then the next to build in for the expected weather problems. But for some reason, not this year.
Yeah.
I don't understand that.
Yeah.
But
it's not gonna. They're not gonna have any weather problems this year.
Okay.
Oh, great.
Yeah, it's
cool.
been decided.
Well, Cam Smith there on the range at Augusta. All right.
We've lost. By the way, we've lost Hardy for the show.
No, I know. The monitor. We have 3 monitors in the studio. The monitor closest to me, the monitor all the way on the left.
They're televisions, but go ahead.
The televisions all the way on the left. Television monitor.
TV set.
This is where Hardy is focused. He's not focused looking at you. He's
Well,
not
this
looking at me.
isn't even
He's
live.
looking
This is
straight.
earlier.
No, this is earlier yesterday.
Okay,
which is why you don't need to be looking at it.
Yeah, he's just looking at.
If it's not live, why are you looking at it?
Because I'm watching Dustin Johnson. Just hit some wedges there. Just
Could you
loose.
imagine sitting in the stands behind the driving range?
I did for a long time, and let me tell you what I saw when I did that, Fred. Bryson DeChambeau,
It's like watching football practice that took place on Friday on the Sunday of the actual game.
And it's like watching the long snapper snap to the holder.
That's right. Look at that guy kick field goals in practice.
I would say it's more boring than even that. At least you can see if they can make them.
Thousands
You don't
of
even
people.
see where the ball goes.
No, and how far they hit it. They hit it far. Good.
Thousands of people show up to Patriots training camp to watch them play 7-on-7, no contact.
But not
just
on
running
game
drills. Well, those guys weren't playing yesterday, were they?
They should have a video.
That is the equivalent of training camp for the NFL.
Today is game day. You're watching practice from yesterday.
Fair.
It's also would be like watching them stretch. Because it's not watching them practice round, which is like watching them play the course. You're watching them just hit balls on the range.
He's so taken with the grounds and the background and just people actually being there, even if he's not there.
He's not alone.
It's a very nice. It's a very nice range setup, and as the players hit uphill toward one of the buildings there on the grounds at Augusta National, they built this range years ago with the expectation that guys be able to go out there and hit driver and, not be in danger of hitting any of the structures. I watched Bryson DeChambeau go to his range session, and he started ripping 3-woods off the deck.
Yeah.
He wasn't teeing these things up. He just, plop them down and hit them, and he was scooting through the shrubbery at the end that was supposed to be the last line of defense before he got to the structure.
Yeah, he took steroids. He gained 50 pounds and can hit the ball further than anyone else. Yes.
Yes, because that's automatically what allows you to hit the ball farther is steroids and big muscles.
Well, I didn't say he's not a good golfer. He is.
That's why The Rock can hit the ball so far.
He is. He's a very good golfer that actually bulked up beyond all recognition. And, of course, if you possess that skill and you're bigger than everyone else, you are going to rip the ball farther than anyone else.
I think he hits the ball so hard because him and his caddy spend 45 minutes before every shot testing the wind and everything. And the
you pick up the grass.
wind.
You got to pick up the grass and drop it.
Oh, no, they do more than that. They test the barometric pressure.
Oh.
They do a bunch of stupid garbage.
Well, not only that, but they will talk about the grain of the grass. And this is something that you should be doing too, Fred. Thinking about where the sun is in the sky, and the blades of grass have a tendency to follow the sun. So if you are hitting into the sun later on in the day, when that ball hits, say, in front of the green, if you come up short, not saying you would, Freddie T, but if you come up a little bit short on that approach, that ball will have a tendency to roll a little bit more because it's rolling with the grain.
That's
with
a Bagger Vance line is what that is. That's Bagger Vance explanation.
It's true. This is what they talk about, Bryson and his caddy.
So if you think Hardy's alone, I heard a radio show yesterday, entertaining phone calls, and a guy called in, and he's like, all right, look, there's going to be pop-up showers at Augusta tomorrow because the host was going to the Masters, and he's like, you gotta bring a chair with a spike in it because in an umbrella because you can use them as walking sticks because it's going to get slick. And then if you want to take a seat, you can put the spike in the ground and sit in the chair. This is on the radio. This is a conversation being had on the radio. The host getting
Did they podcast this? Could I go back and listen to it?
Yeah, it's just called, it's called just what happens if it gets slick. And it was just around the world things to do when it gets slick out. It wasn't just Augusta, so it might not interest you. It's like what happens if it gets slick in the Ukraine during the war. There was a lot of stuff going on.
You know, those chairs that you see people carrying around at the Masters, Fred.
You can also use them with walking sticks.
No, that's the umbrella.
But the chair you can fold up. See, now I'm not wrong. His point was, you didn't hear it, that you fold the chair up and there's a spike on the bottom of it, and you can use it as a walking stick with your umbrella.
Fine, but I find the more interesting notion to be that there is a little placeholder on the back of the chairs they sell at Augusta for your business card. And what you do is if, say, you want to get out to Amen Corner and plop your chair down so you can see the shots on 12, you can see the tee shots on 13, but you don't want to stay there all day. What you do is you put your chair down and you put your business card and a little placeholder on the back, and that lets everyone know that's your chair. Now, the rule at Augusta is anyone can sit in that chair if you're not there, but when you come back and say, hello, I'm Harvard Witherspoon. Mm-hmm. As you can see by my business card on the back of my chair, this is my chair. And then Stalling Hennenbooth, who is sitting in your chair, will say, I'm so sorry, Harvard. Please take your chair.
But you need me to show some ID first.
And No. It's all honor system, John.
It is.
I
would want ID.
I would hope that Zolak would sit in one of those chairs and crap it up like he does all the ones in here. And also,
there's your Amen Corner right there.
It's all the egg salad. Yeah, it just goes right through me.
And by the way, congratulations to everyone, like it's American Psycho, carrying around a business card with them in 2024. Who doesn't have a business card with them?
It's in bone.
Exactly. So they're all serial killers, murdering prostitutes. So you're saying that the crowd at the Masters is prostitute killing maniacs?
I'm saying that maybe that is an antiquated method because I myself don't have a business card. Fred, I'm guessing you don't.
They made business cards before in the aughts.
Oh, yeah.
That's when we had business cards.
CBS gave us business cards.
In the aughts, because they they're not even up to date with all the teams we have. It's just Bruins and Patriots on it. It doesn't even have. It's before we had the Celtics, and we've had the Celtics for a long time.
Well, moving on, there was Adrian Wojnarowski's report here on Drew Holiday and his new setup with the Celtics.
The Celtics and Drew Holiday have just agreed on a 4-year, $135 million extension. That's what Holiday's agent. He'll decline his option for 24-25, do a new 4-year deal. And now Drew Holiday does exactly what he did 3 years ago in Milwaukee. Landed in Milwaukee in the offseason, spends a few months getting used to a new place, getting comfortable. He signed a 4-year, $135 million deal with the Bucks and went on that year to win a championship and to win a gold medal. He's hoping that he can repeat that here this season with the Celtics and then with Team USA this summer.
He's going to be pretty old when that. It's not my money, so who cares? But it's he's going to be pretty old.
37 if he plays it all the way out.
And you imagine he'll play it all the way out. Why wouldn't he?
Exactly.
So
money's guaranteed.
I mean, he's getting a lot of people. I mean, first of all, I guess I undervalued his importance that he was going to be to the team. But they're talking about how New Orleans, it took them so long to recover after he left there. And now you see what's going on with Milwaukee, that he's not there. And they're saying, I don't know how if it's just as simple as like A plus B equals C, that like just because Milwaukee doesn't have Holiday, this is why they're not playing as well this season. I mean, I don't know if it's as simple as that.
Offensively, they're probably better, but defensively, they're significantly worse.
Yeah, I know, but I don't think it's as simple as saying we lost Holiday. Now we're like a way worse team. I don't know if that's not. I don't know. I'm not being cute. Like I just don't know. But it certainly seems that might be an oversimplification of things.
The theory is that Holiday makes other people around him better that aren't necessarily good defensive players. Other good defensive players that aren't good defensively get picked up by Holiday when they blow an assignment. You know, if they make a mistake, Holiday is there to correct their mistakes on the perimeter.
That doesn't sound like he's making them better. It just sounds like he's doing their defense for them.
Well, I mean, it makes the team better, even though they might not have great defensive personnel.
Right.
If Holiday is out there.
Listen, he's obviously very good. He is on Team USA, and they're listing him as like the sixth man.
Yeah,
on Team
they
USA.
waited. They pursued him. They wanted him on the team. So I mean, there is
so
something
the
to be
starting
said.
lineup for Team USA is Embiid at center. I think Tatum's the shooting guard.
Yeah.
Then it's Leonard and James, and then Curry.
Where's Kevin Durant in all of this?
I mean, Durant, not Kawhi, Durant. So it's Durant, James, Curry, Tatum, and Embiid.
Yep.
And but then so that's Hall of Famers.
Yep.
And then they list Holiday as the sixth man.
Yeah.
So that's kind of shows you the respect he has in the NBA. I mean, and by the way, congratulations to Tatum.
Yeah.
If you look at like one thing is not like the other. I mean, you have four, all-timers at the end of their careers, and then Jason Tatum. But I don't know how the international teams are going to guard. What is he? A 6'8" shooting guard? Is it going to be like Magic Johnson style?
Yeah. And talking about Milwaukee here and Drew Holiday's time there, and I think Wallach had this before we were off the air yesterday. That Giannis underwent his MRI, and he's going to miss the remaining 3 games of the regular season for Milwaukee. Daily treatment, evaluation. I mean, they don't know yet, but different people speaking about his injury said, this is a 1-week thing. This is absolutely a 2-week thing. So right now it's anyone's guess as to how much time of the postseason he ends up missing.
I don't think he's going to miss any of the postseason. It's not structural damage. I think he's fine. He strained his calf. Go ahead.
According to Shams, he was saying typically, and this is him talking, not me, typically this is a 1 to 2 week injury. 2 weeks puts this not this weekend, next weekend, which is the beginning of the playoffs. So maybe he misses a game, maybe he doesn't.
I highly doubt that he will miss a playoff game.
By the way,
if he does, I'd start questioning that whole organization, the way they played this year and the teams they've lost to, I mean, I'd question, and for all the goodwill he built up, he's got a good chance of screwing that all up. Go ahead.
How about this for off the bench for Team USA? You mentioned the starting five, and Drew Holiday's one of the guys off the bench. Not only him, Devin Booker, Anthony Edwards, Tyrese Halliburton. I mean, that's pretty damn
They
good.
better load up because those international teams are no joke anymore. I mean, if you built an first of all, I'm surprised Embiid's on Team USA, but if they did a world team versus United States team, the world team would destroy them. I think they'd be younger, and think of who'd be on that: Jokic, Doncic, Canadian guy from the Pacers, or not the Pacers, not the Canadian guy from Murray, from Denver,
Jamal Murray.
Yes. Think of the center from San Antonio.
Wembanyama.
Yeah, they would have a pretty stacked team.
They would.
All right, we'll return. Hardy, do you even know what we're going to talk about? Are you scrambling?
No, I do. Well, I just want to say before you fall all over yourself with Devin Booker, he and his buddy Kevin Durant. I think they got outscored in the first quarter last night, 35-4.
I don't think Durant played. I don't think Durant, Harden, or what's his face played in that game.
Oh, I believe Durant was in last night.
Okay, because I heard all three of them weren't playing. Before the game.
I'll double check on that. But no, we got the police.
Well, I'll
blotter.
check right now because I want to know. I want to prove myself right.
Okay. All right.
I don't want you to. Oh yeah, Durant did play.
Yeah. So the Suns, I think, are in the
no. Oh, the Clippers. The Clippers. Yeah, the three guys didn't play for the Clippers. The starting lineup for the Clippers yesterday. The Suns won 124-108. The Clippers, PJ Tucker. Their lineup was P.J. Tucker, Mason Plumlee, Island, Man,
your favorite.
and Coffee. And Daniel Tice played 10 minutes last night.
There you
That's
go.
all you need to know.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Daniel Tice.
Yeah, he's still in the league.
Phoenix, so Phoenix won by a lot, but they played a Clippers team that didn't have the three old guys.
Gotcha.
They had Durant, Beal, and Booker last night.
Yeah, I knew you were wrong.
Okay.
That's what I knew. Just off the top of my head, I knew you were wrong.
We have the police blotter. We have three.
Sting to acid.
Pretty good stories. One of them we all know about already. This one just came to light yesterday that I had no idea was going on, and oh boy, it is something with Terrell Suggs.
Oh boy, I don't even know about it, but I would like to hear it.
No, you're gonna like it.
Pretty good.
You're gonna like it.
Here are the headlines.
Sports Hub headlines.
Celtics signed Drew Holiday to a 4-year, $135 million contract extension last night. Celtics begin a regular season-ending 3-game homestand tonight against the Knicks. The entire starting five, with the exception of Derek White and Al Horford, all listed as questionable. Sean Grandy and Cedric Maxwell have the pregame at 7 and the tip-off at 7:30 on the BetMGM 98.5, the Sports Hub Celtics radio network. Baltimore Orioles got 3 in the 6th and 4 in the 7th to rally from down 5-0 and beat the Red Sox 7-5 at Fenway Park yesterday. Round 1 of the Masters is now scheduled to begin at 9 a.m. thanks to thunderstorms at Augusta National. And the University of Kentucky has reportedly offered its head basketball coaching job to Baylor's Scott Drew. He's currently at the school and is due to make a decision as to whether or not to take the job by the end of the day today. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Boston Prolotherapy. Do what Ted Johnson and thousands of others have done and eliminate your joint pain without surgery at bostonprolotherapy.com. I'm John Wallach at Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7 o'clock.
Hold everything 98.5 The Sports Hub has to offer in the palm of your hand.
I need that.
Listen live. Get breaking news.
I need it.
Download the Sports Hub app.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. All right, Hardy, we've all been waiting. Go ahead.
Well, I won't keep you in suspense any longer. Terrell Suggs, of course, played at Arizona State, and he was the Rookie of the Year in 2003. He's got a Super Bowl title to his name. I mean, he's the Terrell Suggs. We all know him. Still back in the Arizona area in Scottsdale, the place we were talking about on the show just a day or two ago. He was arrested 2 days ago in Scottsdale, a month after a dispute at a Starbucks drive-thru, which led to Suggs sticking a gun out of his window and pointing it at another person in the drive-thru line. Now, this all happened on March 10th when Suggs in his Range Rover threatened to kill another driver after he backed into his car while trying to reverse in a Starbucks drive-thru line because he had mistakenly driven past the order speaker. So the two guys get out of their car, they argue, seemingly, walk away or drive away from the incident. But when Suggs started to drive away, he flipped the guy the bird, and the guy started yelling at Suggs. So then Suggs said, "I'm going to kill you," rolled down his window, and stuck a gun out the window. Now, according to the police, and apparently this matters, he didn't necessarily point the gun at the guy. He just showed him the gun out the window. Problem for Terrell Suggs is this guy had one of those video recorders that captures everything and the audio. Now, this is the part I don't quite understand because he took down his driver's license. He's got the video. He goes to the police. The detective who was assigned to this knew Suggs already because he had pulled him over in December for speeding, and apparently that was contentious because Suggs took it to court, and the guy had to appear against Suggs in court, so he knew who he was. Still, for some reason, they wait a month until Tuesday before they finally arrest him over this incident. So they stopped him around 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Tuesday after Suggs was leaving his house. And guess what they found in his car? A gun. So Terrell Suggs, who gets into this very heated altercation with another guy at a Starbucks, waves his gun out the window at the guy, maybe thinks he got away with it, and continues to drive around with the gun in his car for another month. And that's what they found when they pulled him over on Tuesday, and he was arrested.
So all of us have had incidences in the car where you get upset with someone and you probably start yelling. You might have even flipped someone off. You always feel kind of stupid afterwards. I mean, I'm sure almost every day. I mean, you get mad at someone driving, but you always have to do an ocular check before you you got an ocular pat down, as they would say on Always Sunny in Philadelphia, before you start to scream and yell. And you have plenty of time if you're in a Starbucks line to look and see it's Terrell Suggs behind you. Not even if you know it's Terrell Suggs or not, that it's a gigantic human being. And that, so I could see getting like super pissed off and going like, no. Just in stopping right there.
But even more so, Fred, Suggs is the guy who backed into him. So this guy's looking out his front windshield, seeing the guy in the Range Rover in front of him. And, yeah, I think you'd be able to tell just from rolling the window down. It's like, oh, that's a large human being.
Or even if you said something and he sticks his head out the window, you're like, okay, like enough of this. You win, like, and go and do whatever you got to do, but I wouldn't handle my business in the streets. But this gets back to what I was always tell you guys, is that when I see people like going ballistic on the road at people, I'm like, you're going to get killed. We talked about this the other day. And I always use this as an example, but my parents live in a community that's mostly retired people, 6,000 houses. And a guy got shot to death in a golf cart because he pulled out into the road, it pissed the guy in a pickup truck off. The guy in the pickup truck and him started fighting. And the guy in the pickup truck had a gun in the car, which almost everyone seems to do now. It's maybe not in Massachusetts, but in other places. And the guy gets out. And the bad thing about having a gun on your car is that if you get pissed off, you got a gun in your car.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost worse for the guy with the gun in his car. Because I know, I'll tell you this. If I had a license to carry and a gun in my car, I never would. Why, Fred, would you never have a gun in your car? because I would wave it around. I know I would. I know I would get pissed off enough at one point in my life that I take the gun out and start waving it around. I know I would. I don't trust myself, and that's me. But if that's the problem with having a gun always on the ready, is that you have it and you're leaving yourself an opportunity for when you lose your cool, while you normally just might flip someone off or even get out of a car, to go so far as to get out of a car. You just don't have the opportunity to commit a felony right away. There's like a lot of steps before you commit the felony. If you have a gun in your car, you take it, you start waving it around, and now the next thing you know, and then even if you go, oh Jesus, I can't believe I did that. I had a kid.
That's why they put me through such psychological tests from ICWP, because they want to make sure that you're even keeled and all that stuff. So I trust myself enough to know that I can carry at all times, like now. And
well, I think Opie and Anthony had them. Stern has one. I know Sean Hannity has one. Like a lot of radio people have license to carry, at least in their car. It's a whole situation. And I thought about getting it. I actually thought about getting a license to carry like 10 years ago, like 12 years ago, when I was getting a lot of death threats.
Because of those death threats?
Yeah, I know. It was silly.
Yeah, silly.
But then I really had to think to myself, like, all right, I don't trust myself to have a gun in the car. I know I wouldn't. First of all, I wouldn't shoot anyone anyway. Like, I just wouldn't have the balls to do it. And second of all, but I would wave that thing around. I know I'd wave it around. Mm-hmm. I don't trust myself. Did I ever tell you a story? I'll tell you a guy's name, Matt Dumas. What's he going to do? He was, when he had his legal troubles. He's a friend of mine when I was growing up. He asked for money. He asked for money occasionally on the Facebook, even though I haven't seen him in 30, 40 years. But he had the police really come after him because he took the club. Remember when everyone had the club?
Oh, yeah.
And you might have heard a story with someone similar. This really did happen. Matt Dumas. I'm telling you who it was. He took the club and started waving it, and he drove away. And who knows what he had in his car? He didn't have a gun though, and he was driving away. And like all these cops came around the car. He got out of the car. They like tackled him, and he didn't know what was going on. They like tackled him. They, really roughed him up, like cuffing him and like throwing him in the back of the car and all this stuff, because they thought he had pulled a shotgun out on a dude. The dude had reported they did a shotgun, and so the police aren't effing around if they think you have a weapon in the car. So like he got out of the car, put your hands up, put your hands up, put your hands up. He puts his hands up, and they tackle him and like get him down. And it turned out,
that's what happened at the beginning of Copland. Superboy Murray Babbage, yeah, he shot those kids on the bridge because they pulled a club out and pretending it was a gun.
Yeah,
you never seen Copland?
I have not seen Copland.
I have not seen Copland.
I know the movie. I know who's in it. I have not seen it.
I figured that it happened in popular culture because it just seems so obvious, but it really did. It did happen to him, and it was not easy. Because once they get you arrested and everything, it's not like that easy to get. Like, it's not just like, oh, my bad. Like it's not convenient for you.
No,
because then you got to prove it was the club, and like I don't know if you have to prove it was a club, but whatever.
Stallone, overweight, police chief, De Niro. Yeah, right.
Well done. Yeah.
Bird's listening in the car.
Put on a little weight for that role.
Method acting is what that.
You know our friend Bird.
Yes.
Yeah.
He texted me.
Oh. What does he have
says,
to say?
I have a license to carry, so Bird has been able to get one.
Interesting.
I haven't had time to buy a gun. I wouldn't have one in my car. I think that's a good idea, Bird. I don't know who's coming after you because everyone loves you.
Yeah, I was just going to say, the man has no enemies. He has friends everywhere.
He literally has no enemies. He's a legend in Everett. He's the king of Everett. He could walk onto any porch in there and have a party.
Seriously.
All right, we will return Bert BREER. He's running very, very late.
We'll have time to finish off the police blotter before Fred gets here.
Well, his name's Bert. I'm Fred.
What'd I say?
I don't know.
Who's that?
You want to play Philadelphia?
Who's the guy in the hat over there who's here every morning? Is that Wallace?
Hi, Mom. That's what my mom said. She couldn't remember his name. All right, we'll be right back.
I like him.
More Toucher and Hardy on the way on the Sports Hub.
headlines.
The Celtics have locked up Drew Holiday through the 2027-28 season. They have signed him to a 4-year, $135 million contract extension. Holiday declined his more expensive player option yesterday and then signed the new deal. He, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Kristaps Porzingis, and Al Horford are all listed as questionable for tonight. Celtics will play the Knicks at TD Garden. Grandy and Max have the pregame at 7 and the tip-off at 7:30 on the BetMGM 98.5 The Sports Hub Celtics Radio Network. In Milwaukee, the news isn't as bad as originally feared. Giannis Antetokounmpo has been ruled out for the rest of the regular season with a strained calf. An MRI yesterday showed no further damage after he pulled up and sat down on the court while playing the Celtics on Tuesday night. The Baltimore Orioles scored 3 in the 6th and 4 in the 7th. They beat the Red Sox at Fenway Park 7-5 last night. Tristan Casas hit a 2-run homer to help the Sox build the lead, but the bullpen collapsed after Alex Cora got 5 shutout innings from Cutter Crawford.
It was good. At one point there, he lost his delivery, but he battled. He gave us 5. I think the split was better than his first 2 outings. The slider, sweeper, he had a feel for it, especially the last 2 innings, and he gave us enough.
Garrett Whitlock will face the Orioles tonight as the Sox try to avoid a 3-game sweep. The Bruins play Pittsburgh Saturday night. Bruins have 3 games left in the regular season and a 3-point lead on Florida for first place. Round 1 of the Masters was scheduled to begin at 8 a.m. this morning. However, severe thunderstorms at Augusta National have already moved back all tee times by at least 1 hour. And the University of Kentucky has reportedly offered its head basketball coaching job to Baylor's Scott Drew. He is currently at the school this morning. He will apparently decide whether or not to take the job by the end of the day today. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Best Ford. Looking for great deals on a new Ford? Go to the Best first. Best Ford in Nashua. Head to bestfordofnashua.com. I'm John Wallach of Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 7:30.
If you've got the app, you've got Spirited Sports Talk.
I have one ear and I got that.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
Twitch feed of this is going to be used all around the internet.
Get up.
The cat is finally out of the bag.
Get up. We're back. Hunter and Hardy. Get up.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. You can watch us now on YouTube. Search 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube and subscribe to keep up to date with all the best moments from Boston's Home for Sports. And then if you hit subscribe, it improves the algorithm and it allows us to be on people's algorithms. And then you can see the picture that inspired me to go to the dentist and figure out why my teeth are shifting. And now I got to put in the Invisalign again.
Again. Mm-hmm. Wear those retainers this time around.
Yep. And because, well, COVID was last time. I mean, come on, Hardy. It was
okay.
COVID.
All right.
I mean, I couldn't go back in there and see a dentist. We had to lock ourselves in our homes.
So the Shohei Ohtani thing, which I did not think he was going to be able to extract himself from, took a turn as the former interpreter Ippei Mizuhara apparently is facing federal charges relating to his alleged theft of millions of dollars from Ohtani. And the New York Times said yesterday he's in negotiations to plead guilty, and the investigation is going to wrap up sooner than expected. Because this whole time I thought, how is Shohei going to get out of this if he doesn't somehow pursue charges against the guy that stole millions of dollars from him? How is he going to claim that he had no knowledge of this or nothing to do with it? There was that troubling first statement from the Ohtani camp that was quickly retracted about, yes, he's just helping out a friend. Whoa. What are we talking about here? Well, I think you're talking about Ohtani being in a very sticky situation unless he tries to get this guy put in jail or charged, and now apparently that is indeed what is happening. So he may get out from under all of this. And I say he, meaning Ohtani, because the interpreter, he stole millions of dollars. If he did, then I don't care how good of friends you are with him, you have to have him charged.
Yeah, TMZ published a report late last night that basically said the feds have wrapped up their investigation. Ohtani is innocent. And this guy actually went in and stole all of this money from him without his knowledge.
That's why I didn't want. That's why I thought everyone sounded. We didn't pontificate that much on it because remember, just when people were talking about it, they sounded so dumb. Like you were just like, and they were like, well, he's so. They were, and he got married in this weird way, and he's so secretive, and you're like, all right, well now what? You're just throwing stuff against the wall.
The one thing that did kind of ring true, though, was when they were talking about the wire transfers. The wire transfers are not easy things to accomplish.
No, they're not. And I thought that he had paid off the guy's gambling debts, but and if you said, if the points were just being made as wire transfers are hard to make, then that's a fact. But people were starting to get into like Ohtani's, that he got married and no one knew it, like talking out of their asses. There just becomes a point where you're just talking out of your ass.
Yeah,
which we do a lot, but I mean, if it's a guy, I mean, what do we know of what Ohtani does?
Right. Yeah, you're starting to assign all these behaviors to him based on what little you know of him, and that's kind of foolish.
Like it frustrates people that they don't know more about him, and you're like, all right, well, that doesn't mean that he's a degenerate gambler.
Yeah, he's been betting on his own baseball game.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I mean, he's no, it was just international soccer. He was just betting on international soccer. Well, you don't know what the hell you're talking about.
And the other story that we did know about that, Fred, you seem to think was no big whoop. Rasheed Rice, he gets a little fender bender on the highway there, and he ran away, and that was the right thing to do. And you seem to think that was all hunky-dory, that you just couldn't imagine yourself doing anything differently.
That's right.
He is facing 8 charges, including aggravated assault. After he and another driver caused that chain reaction crash, 1 count of aggravated assault, 1 count of collision involving serious bodily injury, and 6 counts of collision involving injury.
Well, I guarantee you him running away from that thing. First of all, Hardy was being facetious. I didn't say it was no big deal. I don't recall saying that. Maybe I did. But running away from it was obviously the correct move. It obviously was. He didn't have to turn himself in at he totally controlled that whole thing.
Still has it, not in custody.
Yeah, his lawyer is completely out in front of this thing. Everything. Let's see if he spends a minute in jail. And Lord knows what could have happened if he would have stuck around. First of all, no one was seriously injured, so that's a big win for him. Second of all, they can't prove he had any chemicals in his system.
That's
which is a
one
big
of the
win
most
for him.
important things out of all of this.
Right.
You escape, you let everything pass out of your system. There's no field test there. You might face some charges, but it could have been a lot worse if it was DWI or anything else.
6 charges of aggravated assault. Get out of here. They're
no,
not gonna,
one
all right.
count of aggravated assault.
Yeah, but they're not going to get him on aggravated assault. He's got now it's going to cost him an ass load of money. He screwed up.
Well, those cars are not cheap to fix.
Oh, a Guinea?
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I just throw it in the gutter and go buy another. I mean, if you're talking about me. The vet, though.
That crew ran.
Steve, yeah.
The vet, though.
Steve Sanders would not approve.
No, the vet becomes a part, comes in Oregon. Like a vet, losing a vet's like losing a kidney.
It is.
Yeah, you got to get that vet cleaned up.
My dad got talked into buying a Greenwood Corvette. Do you know what a Greenwood Corvette is?
No.
Well, neither had I until he bought one from one of his cousins in Virginia, who apparently wanted this thing out of his yard. And my dad was down there on one of his visits to see relatives and cousins and uncles and whatnot, and drove back in this Corvette. Now, Greenwood, apparently it's like a Shelby Mustang. Greenwood is a modification, service.
Yeah.
And so what they did was they put all kinds of effects on it, air dams, extra spoilers, added all this crap to it. So when my dad got this thing, this has got to be almost 20 years ago now, and I was home seeing him, and he's like, I got the vet. You want to go for a ride in the vet? And I said, sure. Let's take the vet out. This thing rattled like a shoebox full of washers. Just stuff loose, rattling, falling all over the place. And it handled and felt like being in a go-kart. It was like,
oh, it looks like an Indy car.
Apparently part of the Greenwood package means removing all shocks and suspension because he felt every pebble. It's like, yeah, that's how it's supposed to feel. It's a sports car. I said, is it supposed to hurt? Because at the time I was like in my early 30s. I'm like, my back has never hurt before today, and I think that's probably what started my herniated disc.
Was your father
was that 1 mile ride in his Greenwood Corvette? Was
your father a 17-year-old high school dropout? Because I'm looking at the car, and it looks like it looks like what would cause a nocturnal admission in the dreams of everyone that was in shop where I went to high school.
Yeah.
A Greenwood package on a Corvette. It's essentially a radical body kit.
Yes.
And an emphasis on radical.
Yes.
That usually followed a high level of performance and upgrades, included was a ground effects package. I love
ground effects package.
Oh, you didn't grow up in the Motor City. Yeah. You didn't have any friends with ground effects?
Yeah,
sorry,
none of his friends had glass packs, any exhaust aftermarket stuff.
You obviously did not grow up in a Chaldean neighborhood where ground effects with neon that would pump with the bass were big. Yeah. Ground effects are accoutrements that roll low.
Okay.
Which is hence I would believe the rattling. I would take it if you went over a bump, he was making sparks fly, or at least if it was made of metal, perhaps he was just shaving the plastic. Oh, man. But that is interesting. Greenwood Corvette.
That red one right there, that could have been it. You take about 30 pounds off that guy. That could be my dad standing next to his Greenwood Corvette.
And that looks like an IROC Z with a spoiler on it.
Right. Well, it didn't handle quite that good. It was not a high performance automobile.
If you ever get a chance and you're bored, look at the Mike Bell from Atlanta, the guy that we have on like a couple of times a year, is a friend of mine. Check out the Corvette he drives. It's so dumb.
But you've seen new Corvettes now, right?
He has a new Corvette. I would appreciate the Greenwood Corvette better. At least it looks cool and retro.
What's wrong with Mike Bell's Corvette? Now I'm gonna have to look it up.
It's ridiculous, Hardy. It's like it looks like the Batmobile. It's like $100,000 Corvette. It's ridiculous.
The silver one?
No.
Oh, that's Mike Bell's Chevrolet.
No. Did you Google Mike Bell's Corvette?
Yeah, sure. Why not? You can find anything on the Google machine.
Yeah. Well. Good luck. You got to be friends with him on Facebook. You can see 100 pictures of his dog and then his vet.
I'm telling you, man, anytime I see one of the new Corvettes, it takes me 2 or 3 takes because it looks like a Ferrari.
Yes, this one looks like legitimately they designed it to look like the Batmobile.
Well, I think that's awesome.
Well, so does he.
Maybe for one trip. Then you have a car that looks like
That's what happens when you don't have kids. You can buy $100,000 Corvette.
It's fun to drive it to like a nice restaurant. It might be fun to drive to Encore one night.
Yeah.
What about when you need to go to CVS?
Yeah.
That's the problem with driving that car.
Maybe for one trip to a specific place, I'm sure driving a car that looks like the Batmobile looks great.
Yeah.
And then you have to...
And then you want to go through the Taco Bell drive-thru.
Yeah.
And you feel like an ass.
Exactly.
No, you don't, because you could bang anybody behind that counter.
At the drive-thru, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Is Bert BREER planning on showing up anytime soon?
Well, an update on Bert?
He's hoping to be here by 7:20.
Okay. Oh.
Because he was supposed to be here the entire 7 o'clock hour.
Well,
I bet you he volunteers to stay until 8:20.
Yeah, and I bet you that's not happening.
Uh-oh.
Oh, really?
Well, I mean, we have something I want to do at 8. He can stay until 8:40 and do something from 8 till 8:30. That can happen. That would be nice. We could talk to, but I mean,
Bert's a man of his word. He's contracted to stay here for an hour. I bet you he volunteers to stay for as long as we need him.
Yeah. All right. We will be back in just a moment.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
things that have already happened to them. They don't have any control over Trevor Story needing surgery and being done for the year. They don't have any control over Nick Pivetta getting hurt. They've lost focus. They look like crap in the field yesterday. They just don't have it.
Zolak and Bertrand, weekday mornings at 10 on the Sports Hub.
Toucher and Hardy.
Such an fantastic explosion.
98.5, the Sports Hub.
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy, and Bert BREER just walked in.
I did.
He's the senior NFL reporter and lead content strategist for the MMQB. Bert is brought to you by Bentley University, a force for business, a force for good. Bert joins us live in studio this morning. I have a friend who named Kevin, who I don't talk to like all that often. I see him mostly in the summer on account of golf, I would imagine. And but he texts me usually every Friday. He hates Bert.
Hates me.
Yeah. And today
he
just
flat out hates me.
Today he just said cut him loose.
Jeez. Wow.
And I think it's really funny because it's so random. There's like no reason. I've never asked him why.
You're fired.
He just hates Bert.
Here's the thing, and Bert, this is not going to.
I can
hurt your feelings
that,
because
It's
I'm sure you
funny.
get all kinds of venom online just because you're online a lot.
I'm not for everybody.
But no, I would disagree. I would say you are pretty much for everybody. I've never heard anyone express any kind of hatred.
That's why it's funny.
Of Bert, of course. And
if it was Felger or me,
right.
I get it.
I have one guy who can't stand Jaffe. Like, I will get the same text. It's like, this freaking guy. Like, Billy Jaffe? Who doesn't like Jaffe? Who doesn't like? It's like,
I have people that don't like me very much. Definitely.
I don't believe you.
Oh, I swear.
How could anyone not like you?
Outside of Twitter?
Well. All right,
or is it just Twitter?
There is a lot of Well, there's like a circle of people on Twitter, which I'm convinced there's like 40, 50 Boston sports accounts that are probably run by a grand total of 2 people.
Well, I know for a fact. Ask Joe Murray; he knows who runs all of them.
Does he?
Some of them are run by personalities.
Like media personalities?
Yes. And did you notice at a certain time, a lot of the parody
Is like
accounts,
Lyft chats running them or something?
A lot of the parody accounts stopped at like one point. Like there'll be shifts, and then you can see like, oh well, this guy got a job, or this guy lost a job, and like, yeah, and it's not. I'm not wrong.
Wow.
Ask
Okay.
Joe
So
Murray,
Joe Murray's got all the info on there,
and he's not full of it. Like he.
No,
knows it.
I trust Joe on
all
that.
right. So since you brought it up, so you know how Twitter, like the comments suck and everything sucks, like whatever. Last night, I'm going to tell him what I told you guys. I'm going to share it with the audience. I think I should. Don't ruin it. But there's a guy _ Tony P in DC.
Tony P in DC.
And he's just it's a life of a single guy, and he's from Boston, but he lives in Washington DC, and it's just him being single. And I follow him on my Instagram page at Fred Toucher. Just look at who I follow. Yep. It's Tony _ P in DC. And I was reading the comments last night. I stayed up for I'm not exaggerating, an hour and a half reading the comments on this guy's post. And I was crying, not exaggerating, crying, laughing for an hour and a half. The comments on this guy's post are so funny, like legitimately funny. And like they all get it, and they're all like, and they're like they're not just attacking the guy, they're like legitimately like funny. And it showed me that in the right hands, the comments on these social media pages can bring great joy. And they're tooling on the guy and everything, but they're doing
this guy's like well known. Like it's
great.
Just searched him, because like I guess I saw. I guess he showed up at the Commanders like media access in September, and like the other media people were taking videos of him like coming into the building. This is great.
All right. Yeah.
He's like a local celebrity. This is awesome.
That's
Like people will say stuff like "Great news, Tone." They call him Tone. My doctor said it was only a partial prolapse. Bad day to be an iron because he.
It's funny. It's funny because I mean this in an endearing way. He's like the most average looking guy.
Yeah, but
You know what I mean?
Here's another guy. Tony, any advice how to dress up jorts for the office? They have a robust earth tone because he describes things as being robust. A robust earth tone, but I think that it can be balanced with a subdued tank that shows off my style and professionalism.
So on February 6th, this person tweeted, "I finally met Tony P in D.C. and I was more nervous than when I met Barack Obama."
Tone is evolving into a 2012 Vineyard Vines mannequin.
Oh, this is great.
You really have to read it. And Fred was just reading them to
So
us
is he
this
like
mor-
you said?
this
Is he
morning.
Instagram then?
Yeah,
Instagram,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Fred was just reading us the comments this morning, and I had tears.
Yeah.
Absolute tears. So I understand your underlying point in all this, Fred. The comment section can be used for great good.
Yeah,
but
the idea
most
that
times they're not.
The idea that it can be that funny, is that's awesome. People on Instagram can be super funny. Like he's got this one with this local guy Davis, and they're at Smith and Walensky's, and someone says, "Bad day to be a restaurant coloring book." Way too much. They call themselves, he says, vibrant masculinity. Way too much vibrant, locked in masculinity for one corner booth. Watching this makes me sick to my stomach, knowing I didn't get locked in sooner.
This is great. I mean,
We're all down the rabbit hole. We should.
I know, it's not good.
Let everybody investigate on their own.
Yeah, so you're
because now we're just all sitting here reading
I mean,
comments.
I see Big Cat from Barstool here retweeting or tweeting a picture of him that says "Starstruck." Shout out to Connor for having lunch with a legend.
Yeah, well, don't ruin it, Big Cat. Come on, keep your hands off. Of
_ Tony P in DC,
and don't go ruining it for everyone with your dumb comments. Let the people who are commenting on it comment on it. Because it really gave me it's the hardest I've laughed at anything in a few years. Not him.
Restored your faith in social media.
Yes, just like Dad Boner on Twitter. You went, oh my God, this guy's brilliant. This guy, there's a comedian whose forum is Twitter. He's mastered it. There'll never be another. Dad Boner was the pinnacle of Twitter. I'm not the only one who thinks that. There's many people that do. So Twitter is just information now. Mm-hmm. He perfected the art of Twitter. This Tony P guy, it's not him, whatever with him. His commenters are all funny, legit funny. Laugh out loud funny. And they all get it and they all talk to each other in the same way. And no one ruins it.
Yes.
And no one's dumb and ruins it. Even when they all want him to have a hog reveal, they all want him to show it. Even that's funny. It's all very good. Anyway, okay. Well, now we can get down to football. All right. So J.J. McCarthy is having a hog reveal.
When is this happening?
Wow.
I missed that.
From his post a few weeks ago. Tone shows the hog. It's Easter. Okay. Hold on. Closing the window.
Yeah.
Instagram closed. Hi, Bert.
Yeah, you could get lost.
Hi,
I shouldn't have given it out during the show because you could get lost. You could get lost in it forever. You could just
Now we're on to the J.J. McCarthy hog reveal.
I was up till 11:30 last night. I couldn't stop laughing.
See, you shouldn't have come in and told us about this.
I was in bed just crying, laughing at the comments.
That's fantastic.
Because it made me feel really good that many people could be that funny. Anyway, instead of having a parody account on Twitter where you just crap on media people in non-funny ways, it showed me that you could, if you're actually clever, you could get a community of commenters. You understand what I'm saying? That could be that are like all get it and are all super funny. They're making fun of the
Well,
guy.
that's what like everyone's looking for too is engagement, right? Like that's the buzzword, right? Like
right.
that's like true engagement.
Yes, and they're all funny. It's because like when Twitter I'm getting in the rabbit hole. Who cares? You know, when Twitter first started, there would be these parody accounts like making fun of sports
That were
radio.
actually funny.
No, but I thought they'd be funny. They had like funny premises, and then it just turned out to like crazy people.
So you know
random
what it,
crapping.
You know
on
what it
people.
turned for me was like I remember there was a fake account of me, right? And like I realized like where this was going. This was probably like less than a year into me being on Twitter, and they took my name and instead of like it looked like at Albert BREER, right? Only the L in my first name was a capital I, so you couldn't tell the difference. And everything else was identical. And this guy took this account and went and started tweeting it like NFL players and NFL coaches that were on Twitter and told them how awful they were and how terrible. And it was like became like a legitimate problem for me.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like it went so fast from what you're talking about, what this is, to just awful people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Last one.
Yeah.
So Robbie Roadsteamer in MySpace had a MySpace account
That's
was
exactly what I was thinking of.
which was the brother from La Bamba. And it was in the character of the brother of La Bamba. And I saw it when we were on WBCN, and it ruined me for the show. I couldn't stop laughing at it, and I thought Roadsteamer was so funny, and it never broke the guy's character. Like, I won the art contest, Ma! Or like, art contest tomorrow might win. Like, drawing for the art contest.
Yeah.
And if you never saw La Bamba, whatever, but it's just this super random
Played
character.
drums with Richie last night. Killed it. Oh, boy.
Yeah, exactly. And then there was like a guy, and I'm giving him credit, and he'll probably like, kill me now. But like there was a guy, and it was like a character from The White Shadow. And I went, oh my God, what a random, it was Salami from The White Shadow.
Okay.
And I went, wow, this is going to be really funny. Like Salami from the white guy from The White Shadow, the white player. And it was just some lunatic crapping on everyone. And I'm like, like he could have been funny. Like he could have even crapped on me. But if it was as Salami, then it would have been funny. But you couldn't follow through on that.
So rare do you find something that pure, too. That's too bad.
And I thought it was going to be like Roadsteamer, but it wasn't. It was just some lunatic, like, crapping on people. Like, yelling about Felger. And you're like, you ruined it. There were some parody accounts who I know for a fact who they were. And they were people in media.
I'm definitely hitting up Joe Murray after the show.
Yeah, he knows them all.
Yeah, he'll know.
Okay.
He's friends with some of them. All right, let's break. I ruined everyone's time. I'm sorry.
The hell you say?
That was very self-indulgent.
I don't think you ruined anything.
No,
I think we're all better people for it, Fred.
I'm gonna spend the the break on Instagram.com
Don't go back.
That wasn't.
Send Tone a message.
Okay,
That's
we will
what they
talk
do.
exclusively about football. I do apologize. I shouldn't have done that. It wasn't good radio. But we'll come back and we'll talk to Bert BREER in just a moment.
Sports Hub headlines.
Celtics took care of business yesterday, signing Drew Holiday to a 4-year, $135 million contract extension. They'll host the Knicks tonight. Grandy and Max had the pregame at 7 and the tip-off at 7:30 on the BetMGM 98.5 The Sports Hub Celtics Radio Network. Holiday is one of 6 Celtics players who are questionable, along with Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Al Horford, Kristaps Porzingis, and Xavier Tillman. Red Sox kicked away a 5-0 sixth-inning lead. They lost to Baltimore 7-5 at Fenway Park. They are 7-5 on the season. They'll try to avoid being swept tonight. Weather permitting, the first round of the Masters will get underway this morning. All tee times have already been moved back 1 hour to 9 a.m. thanks to weather. And last but not least, the Frozen Four begins this afternoon in St. Paul, Minnesota. Boston University plays Denver at 5 p.m. Then it's Boston College against Michigan. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by the Massachusetts Energy Marketers Association, clean, renewable bioheat fuel. I'm John Wallach at Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 8 o'clock.
This is Charlie McAvoy. And you're listening to the home of the Bruins.
McAvoy coming from deep in his own zone. Backhand. He scores!
98.5 The Sports Hub.
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy, and we, of course, are brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. Bert BREER is here. All right. He talks to people around the league. Obviously, he was reading us some stuff from people around the league regarding J.J. McCarthy. I don't know where it came from, but say J.J. People were saying maybe the Patriots are interested in J.J. McCarthy at 3. It doesn't seem like a reality, but he is going to get taken, I would imagine, in the first round. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Yeah.
Where do you think? What's the consensus on him, and where do you think he'll be taken?
I mean, I think he'll be taken in the top 6. Whether or not he is worthy of that, I think, is an open question. And, you know, the more you dig into this, and like, what's really interesting about this process for me is the coaches don't really know anything until January, other than what the rest of us see, which is on TV. So the coaches haven't really studied them until you get to January, February, March, and then you get to this time of year, and now all of a sudden, if you're doing the job the way I do it, you have what the scouts have told you for 6 or 7 months, and what the coaches are saying starts to get baked into it. I think what's most interesting is how the coaches' opinions can differ sometimes. For example, Michael Penix, scouts aren't wild about him. The coaches really like him. With J.J. McCarthy, it sort of feels like the opposite. Like where the coaches aren't as wild about him as the scouts are. So it's just you're sorting through a lot of things with all of these guys. And I still think, to me, and I've used this analogy before with you guys, I think, but like if you want entrance into that club, and because you're in the AFC, this is your reality right now. If you want the bouncer to lift the velvet rope and let you in to that club where the Chiefs are, where the Bills are, where the Bengals are, where the Chargers are, where the Ravens are, I think you have to look at it and say, is this kid good enough to get me there? And that's why it cannot be about this year. And that's why I've kept saying to people, don't make it about this year, right? Because that's what you did with Mac Jones. Mac Jones was ready to play right now. How'd that work out?
Yeah. Okay. So
I mean, and that's the thing is like, so if you're looking at like, what can give us a competitive team in 2024?
No. You don't want to do that, and even if it means not playing a kid for a year. Obviously, it's for
and
the
I think
future.
I think that's the McCarthy May question.
So I think I kind of understand is that McCarthy's won a national championship. McCarthy is not going to go out there and crap himself. May has got far superior athletic ability. He can make these incredible throws, but he was inconsistent a little bit at North Carolina.
Yep.
All right, but you don't have to be exact or tell where you got the information from, but what are some of the knocks on J.J. McCarthy, and what are some of the things people like?
Yeah, so the things they like, obviously he's won a lot, right? Like, so one in high school, both at his high school in Chicago and IMG, one at Michigan.
Yeah, he was a big shot high school kid.
And that's the thing is, like, that's the mistake people make. This was a 5-star recruit.
Yes.
Like, this is like a program-changing recruit for Michigan. A guy who beat out, like, a kid who beat Ohio State for the first time in forever, in Cade McNamara. So what you have with McCarthy, I think, is a guy who's got experience running a pro-style offense, who's shown that he can be a leader, who has – like good intangibles, right? Like really, really good intangibles. And the questions are, and he's a really good athlete too. Like, this is not Mac Jones. It's not Drake May, but it's not Mac Jones. I think the knocks on McCarthy are everything's a fastball, right? Like, if you watch him play, everything's a fastball, and he needs time and space to throw. And if you watch, like, you can see where he's got a really strong arm, but he throws his entire body into it. And this is getting really granular, and I don't want to bore you guys with this, but like, how often in the NFL are you dealing with a completely clean pocket or where defenders are 4 yards away from you? In college, like, he was either in a clean pocket or he was fast enough where he could get away from guys, right? So, like, in the pros, what's going to happen is the pocket's going to be closed down. You're going to be throwing from bad body positions all the time. That's why Mahomes is so rare.
And that's why they love Caleb Williams.
Yeah, have you
heard when scouts break down Caleb Williams? They're like they're finishing. Like they're like, oh my goodness,
Right.
Like he
well, and
doesn't-
we talked about. I think we talked about the mile per hour thing last week,
Yes.
right? Like which was insane.
But it's about the hip rotation. I've heard.
right, and
Bert.
it is rotational
It's about
athletes.
he's
Which
got the hip
golf,
rotation.
tennis, pitchers in baseball, quarterbacks. Yeah. So like Drake, you watch Drake May, and Drake May doesn't need to move much. And I think I have a video of Drake May and Kyle McCord side by side in high school that somebody I know gave me. And if you watch, the first time you watch it, you can see the two of them side by side and you wouldn't notice a difference. And then you slow it down, and I'm telling you guys, like I can show you guys the still of this, right? On the this is a quarterback's coach who showed me this, who said and this was when they were in high school, so it's not revisionist. He's like, Drake May's got a real chance to make it, right? Drake May's arm is across his body and followed through, right, in this drill, and the ball is still in Kyle McCord's hand. So it's just the way your upper body twitches, the way you can move, and it's a long way of saying it's your ability to throw from bad body positions, from dirty pockets, because what the NFL is becoming now, and this is a reality that a lot of people, again, this is like a granular thing, the defensive linemen are such great athletes that no one has time anymore, right? And there's the shortage of offensive linemen in the league. And so in a lot of cases, you need guys who can throw from bad body positions that are awkward spots. And again, that's what the great quarterbacks in the NFL can all do now. And that's where some of the questions are with McCarthy physically, on top of the fact that he's a little smaller. So if he does get hit more than he did at Michigan, how is he going to hold up? The other thing with McCarthy, and this is, again, his numbers on 3rd and long and playing from behind are really good. But how often did he have to do that? Right? So in other words, if Drake May is playing from 3rd and long and from behind constantly, so the coaches are constantly going into the bag of things that they have to help for those plays. If Michigan's not in those situations as much, well, they're holding stuff back. So we're going to use this here, and we're going to use that there, and we're going to use this there. And because the team was so good, you're able to manage the situations better. So, and that's why the volume of experience is so important. That's why it's again, somebody said to me, somebody pointed this out to me. Drake May Bo Nix threw 2,000 balls in college, right? JJ McCarthy threw 650. That's a huge difference.
Yeah, but Bo Nix is also 2.5 years older.
Right.
So, but that stuff counts. So, you have less volume of, all right,
But if you're not for recruiting, for analyzing them, but also what you just said, it's not about 2024 if you're taking a quarterback that high. So
so I'm just telling, that's why McCarthy's a projection.
Sure.
Right, because McCarthy's a projection, not because it's kind of an interesting thing because he has experience running a pro style offense that's very applicable, right? And so he should be able to adapt pretty quickly to playing the NFL. He's a smart kid, good intangibles, everything else. What he doesn't have is the amount of time on task that some of these other kids have. Like Drake May, how often did he? And I think that this was a key with Purdy, right? And I think physically, I've heard JJ compared to Brock Purdy, that's one I've gotten from multiple NFL people, is comparison to Brock Purdy physically.
Athletically?
Yeah. Purdy's a pretty good athlete.
What's what is he smaller? Why was he the last pick in the draft?
Because there was some stuff mechanically he had to fix.
Okay.
But here's the thing. The one thing Brock Purdy, and this is the difference between Brock Purdy and Mac Jones. How often did Brock Purdy have to be the best player on the field for Iowa State to win?
Right.
A lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
There were how often did Drake May have to be the best player on the field for North Carolina to win last year?
But
every game.
Can I ask you what do you, look? I don't.
Caleb Williams had to be the best player on USC's roster.
Caleb Williams,
every week.
Everything I've read about, and I've watched a lot of this
and
stuff.
Jaden Daniels, to be fair, maybe didn't. Right?
No, he didn't. He had two top 15 receivers on his team. But all right, but I do want to ask you this: what? If you could stay for one more break after,
of course,
this. But because you owe us, because you were very
I do owe you. Yep.
But Drake May, Zach Wilson.
Yep.
And I don't know, but Zach Wilson is a exceptional thrower of the football, he just is.
Yeah.
but he
highly talented,
and he was at a BYU program where he was throwing it all over the place and everything. They weren't a particularly great team. What does Drake May? Is anyone scared that Drake May's got like it's the same kind of thing with Zach Wilson?
The floor is low with Drake May. That's. I mean, with Drake May, you're taking a swing and you are gambling that he is going to be better than he was. Now, like I would say, his trajectory is similar to Josh Allen. Like the more I've talked to people, it's like Justin Herbert physically with a Josh Allen play style. And it's sort of interesting because Justin Herbert's last year at Oregon to some degree mirrored Drake May's last year at North Carolina. And like Justin Herbert, they lost a lot around him. I think there was a coordinator change. The offense wasn't very good his senior year. The scheme wasn't very good his senior year. A lot of the same things they're saying about Drake now. And what's really interesting about that is they went in different directions. Justin Herbert didn't have a bunch of bad plays as a result, but the spectacular plays started to disappear. With Drake May, it was the exact opposite. The spectacular plays were still there, but then all of a sudden you had a bunch of really bad plays start to appear. And so most people I've talked to say if you're going to take Drake May, you probably want to sit him for a year. And it takes great discipline to do that.
Because it's almost a shame because I guess the discipline of doing that would be you're more likely to lose your job because it delays the process, right?
Right.
So because if you come in and he's C.J. Stroud, now all of a sudden I'm in for 10 years.
The reward is again, like, is it Jared Goff's a really good quarterback, right?
Yeah.
The Rams eventually got to the point where they were like, we can't get over the top with Jared Goff, and they traded him. Are you going to get to that point with J.J. McCarthy? That's not the question with Drake May. The question with Drake May is he going to be a complete bust?
And
you're going and in 3 years you're back in the draft. Like I think with JJ, it's like he's probably going to be okay in year one and probably okay in year two. The question is in year 4, year 5, which is the same question with Mac Jones, right? In year 4, year 5, year 6.
Exactly what he said after the Patriots drafted Mac Jones.
But that's a little unfair because Mac Jones is not a good athlete.
J.J. McCarthy's a much better athlete than
J.J. McCarthy's like.
But it's the same question.
I said that, right? Back in the draft, we are.
I know. But look, I'm not saying to take J.J. McCarthy.
And
I'm not saying anything.
I'm not saying you can't win without it. Like obviously, like if you can be really good around J.J., like I think you can win with him at a high level. But here's the thing: in the AFC, with Burrow, with Allen, with obviously Mahomes, with Jackson, with with maybe Trevor Lawrence becomes that Justin Herbert. The reality is, over the next 10 years, you're probably going to have to beat 3 of those guys in succession,
right,
to get to just to get to the Super Bowl. And I think that's the lens through which you have to look at this. Are you ever going to be good enough with quarterback X to be able to beat 3 of those quarterbacks in succession?
John, you have to be more aware of the time. How dare you?
That's true. You know what? You never blow through breaks. That's a good point.
You see that?
Yeah. You're calling HR? Is that what that figure was for?
I like it.
Thank you.
I don't. I think it's very rude.
It's true. You never blow through breaks. Never late in. Never gets pissed at you.
Not the 55 break with a guest.
But here's where you screw up. Well, like you do it once and then you did it. It's fine. But don't do it anymore.
Okay.
I wouldn't do it again.
We're already late.
We have Bert for another break, though, so I can ask my question.
Why am I dragged into this, too? Shut up, John.
Why not?
No. Do you see that?
I drag you into this?
John has become very, very cocky.
Cock of the walk, so to speak.
A rooster.
There it is. Nice job. You've
maybe
moved
he's
in the
gone.
bird thing.
Maybe he's becoming from an eagle to a rooster. You be the judge.
That's a downgrade.
It really is.
That's not good.
You're nothing but a hen. Right.
That's really bad.
Yeah. Now you want to be called an eagle again, don't you?
But the rooster.
That's
has
exactly
sex with
what
all
I was
of them.
thinking, Fred.
Seinfeld.
Yes.
All right. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
for sports in 98.5. The Sports Hub. Sports Hub headlines.
The Celtics have come to terms with Drew Holiday on a 4-year, $135 million contract extension that begins after this season is over. Holiday declined his player option for next year to complete the new deal. Celtics begin a regular season-ending 3-game homestand tonight at TD Garden against the Knicks. The entire starting five, with the exception of Derek White, is questionable, as is Al Horford. Grandy and Max have the pregame at 7 and the tip-off at 7:30 on the BetMGM 98.5, the Sports Hub Celtics Radio Network. In Milwaukee, the news isn't as bad as originally feared. Giannis Antetokounmpo has been ruled out the rest of the regular season with a strained calf. An MRI yesterday showed no further damage. He hurt himself while playing the Celtics Tuesday night. The Red Sox led Baltimore 5-0 heading to the top of the 6th inning, but then the Sox brought in the bullpen.
Westberg drives one deep into center field. Jordan Westberg has given the Orioles the lead. A Weaver to the monster. It's 7-5, and they've come all the way back.
That's the Mid-Atlantic Sports Network. Jordan Westberg's 3-run homer in the 7th put the Orioles ahead to stay in a 7-5 win. Tristan Casas, a 2-run homer to help the Sox build that 5-0 lead. Cutter Crawford, 5 shutout innings. Garrett Whitlock will face the Orioles tonight. Round 1 of the Masters will now begin at 10:30 this morning. This thanks to thunderstorms that passed through Augusta National earlier today. The Frozen Four begins today in St. Paul, Minnesota. BU is up first against Denver at 5 o'clock. Then it's BC against Michigan. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Rodenheiser Home Services, your trusted local expert for all your plumbing needs, from bathroom and kitchen fixtures to leaking pipes, water heaters, and more. Visit Rodenheiser.com to schedule today. I'm John Wallach of Boston Told for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 8:30.
Listen to it. Laugh at it. Get mad at it. Agree with it. Argue about it. It is Boston Sports. Boston Sports. And it is all we do. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Now, more Tuncher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy. Our show is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. You can watch us on YouTube. Search 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube and subscribe. And you got to subscribe because then the algorithm improves, and then all of a sudden we're Mr. Beast.
We're
now
rich.
all of a sudden, well, the company is. We don't get a piece of the YouTube, but I'm working on it.
I would like it. Dude, perfect. Oh, my God.
I called the question 100 million.
Where are the cameras in here now? Because I remember like Nick used to set up the tripods.
Right on top of the old ones.
No, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. Wait, are those the YouTube cameras, or is the one underneath the YouTube camera?
I thought it was the ones on top of it.
That's a big step up from Nick walking in here with the tripods, isn't it?
That's a good point.
A lot of people think Nick's terrible at running it.
Wow. You gonna take that, Nick?
And they say the mic's in front of your face. Is that on purpose? And I'm like, what am I? What do you think I got? The whole thing happening here? I
know
have Ralph that does my hair.
I know this was an off-air conversation. We were talking about Caleb Williams, right?
Yeah.
So I just found this, which is really great, because people have been critical of Caleb Williams with the win-loss record last year, right? In his losses, the lowest point total allowed was 42. That's not on him. Penix has played one game where his defense allowed 42, and that was against Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
So, yeah, because and Bert knows way more than I do, but just even from what I mean, the idea that Caleb Williams wasn't going to be the number one pick in the draft was just asinine.
You find disagreements on every one of these quarterbacks except for Caleb Williams. And the most disagreement you get with Caleb Williams is, yeah, you know, like he could have colored between the lines a little better on this play or that play. And there was a great one, like I saw on Twitter, he got criticized for like letting a receiver, right, like passing up like an easy throw to a receiver to scramble. And it sort of like spoke to a conversation I had with a coach last week. And this is why it's so important. I think this is a good example of why it's so important to talk to the actual teams that are talking to the actual players, right? So this, to me, is an example of why it's really hard to trust somebody who's just watching the tape and not talking to people.
Mm-hmm.
So this guy said to me, he's like, yeah, there was a play that we had up with Caleb in the room where you see he drops back in the pocket, and he's got Brennan Rice over the middle. He was one of USC's receivers, actually Jerry Rice's kid. And he has him open, and he passes him up, and then he winds up breaking contain to the right and running for 25 yards. And so we asked him on the play, well, why did you pass up, an open receiver there? And Caleb Williams explained to him, well, it was 3rd and 9. Brennan Rice was open at 5 yards. When I looked at it, I thought he was going to get tackled at 7 or 8, so we wouldn't pick up the first down. So in my head, I was thinking I had a better chance of moving the sticks. If I scrambled, I saw the opportunity to pick up the yardage on the ground, and so I did it. And so somebody who's just watching video looks at it and says, well, he passed up the easy throw there. Like, what's he doing? If you're talking to some of the teams that are talking to the actual kids, there's an explanation for some of that. And to me, like, that's a big plus, in that you look at that and say, okay, like, he's processing that fast. And, the team told me, like, the tape checked out. Like, it was there. So I think that's a good example of why, again, like, it's really important to know what the play is, to know what the player's thinking. Like, because you can't just, like, look at it. It's like, it's that whole line, like, looking at the sheet music versus playing the song, right? Like you got to talk to the guy who's playing the song and not just look at the sheet music.
Yeah, and it's also a little funny that people are crapping on a kid for picking up 22 yards with his legs, like as if that was like some terrible
Although
thing
that was one of the criticisms with Zach Wilson that wound up coming true.
Yeah,
is that Zach Wilson passed up a lot of layups to try and make big plays, and it wound up being a problem.
That whole offense, though, it seems now in hindsight, like, that BYU offense was just insane. Like, he was just throwing the ball downfield.
I've talked to Jets coaches that work with Zach Wilson who say now we screwed him by playing him.
Yes.
He should not have played as a rookie. He was not ready.
Yeah, the old offensive coordinator, has come out even and said it. He said, we didn't do him any favors by playing him. Yeah, again, and that's I guess the plan last year was they still believed if they get a year or two behind Aaron Rodgers, there was a chance he could become something. Now they can't even get rid of him. All right, John. The floor is yours, sir. Take it. You do what you want to do. Don't let me stop you. Go ahead. Do whatever you got to do. Ask the man a question.
Let's go. Keep an eye on the clock.
That's very important. Okay, so you were just talking about sitting Zach Wilson and sitting a quarterback. Yep. And before the break, we were talking about sitting Drake May. He probably needs to sit a year.
Yep.
The Patriots would be perfect for that. There is less pressure on a brand new front office and a brand new coaching staff to win immediately. Objectively, the owner can look at this roster and say, we're not going to win next year. So it would matter less to have Drake May play this year on this team than it would other teams. I would think this would be a perfect fit.
So, like, and I think that the problem, we talked about this a second ago, John, like, I think that that's, like, easy to draw that blueprint, and a lot of people do. And if you go back and you look at the post-draft press conferences with a lot of these guys that are drafting quarterbacks, they say, oh, yeah, we're redshirting him. He's not playing this year. But, like, how often is that actually executed? And I've got a chart that I keep that shows that it almost never happens. Like, almost never. That quarterback is drafted in the first round, sits his entire first year. And there are obviously great success stories, guys like Jordan Love, who, if the Packers would tell you, if they put Jordan Love out there 2 years ago, they probably would have ruined him, right? Instead, he gets to wait and learn. His confidence isn't shattered. He's watching Aaron Rodgers do the job, and then he winds up being a really good quarterback for Green Bay. It takes discipline. So, like, if you look at that situation, they had Aaron Rodgers. If you look at the situation with Patrick Mahomes where he sat, they had Alex Smith. Those teams were contending, right? Like, those teams were in the playoffs. So it made it easier where no one's on the radio in those markets or on TV in those markets yelling at the top of their lungs, you got to put him in. It's really easy for everybody here to say in April, we'd be fine with sitting Drake May. What happens in September? What happens in October? What happens with your 82-year-old owner when Jacoby Brissett's the starting quarterback in October and you're 1-6 and there are empty seats in the stands? It takes great discipline to execute that sort of plan. And history shows us almost no one has that discipline, especially if the team's bad, right? So can you be the team that's going to have the discipline to do that if that's what the quarterback needs? And if you aren't going to be that team, then take J.J. McCarthy, because you may ruin Drake May by putting him out there in year one. If you can have the discipline, the ceiling with Drake May is higher. There's no question about that.
Do you make anything out of the number of visits out of their 30 visits the Patriots have used on quarterbacks, and does that tell you anything about their presumed, picking a quarterback, or based on the number, which I think is 3?
Sure.
Does that tell you oh no, they're going to trade out of that pick?
I mean, it tells me that they're really focused on the top group, and that and again, like, these can be smoke screens and shell games and all that different stuff. So it's possible that they're hiding their interest in doing something else. But they, at last I checked, they had 3 quarterbacks coming in and 3 quarterbacks only, and that was Jaden Daniels, Drake May, and J.J. McCarthy. So they've already done the visits with Daniels and with May, and I believe the plan is it's scheduled, at least, like, where J.J. McCarthy's going to come in Monday night and then have his 30 visit here on Tuesday, which is significant because that's pretty close to the draft, right? So you're doing that visit last. It at least indicates that the plan is to sit there at 3 and take a quarterback. Now, can Minnesota get them to move? I think that's sort of an interesting question.
Can Minnesota get Arizona to move? Can Minnesota get...
Yeah, and I think Arizona, from what I understand, Arizona's driving a pretty hard bargain at 4. Now, I don't know if that means they absolutely won't. They absolutely, will stick to that and make it really hard for someone to come up. That either means the price is going to come down eventually, or they really like somebody at 4, so it's going to take a lot for them to come out of that spot.
You just wonder, how much you mentioned the age of the owner. You mentioned the other things going on with the first year of head coach. There's all these things to take into account, but at what point do you start to think about what is your fans and sponsors' level of patience? Because this is something that, by all accounts, should have started 4 years ago. This process, and it was bungled in my mind in a couple of ways. And if you are going to either trade out of that pick or draft a guy that's going to have to sit for a year, you are asking for a lot more patience from a number of people that maybe they look at it and say, we don't have that luxury. We can't ask them to be any more patient.
So I have the chart up now that I was just referencing, right? This really changed in 2008 with Matt Ryan and Joe Flacco having success as rookies, right? So I'm looking at it now. There are 2 quarterbacks who went in the first round of about 40 in the last 16 draft cycles.
Okay.
That didn't start a game as a rookie. Those 2 are Jake Locker in Tennessee and Jordan Love in Green Bay. Patrick Mahomes is right there because he only started that last game. He started 16. But so there's 3 quarterbacks out of how many? Right? So that means almost everyone pulled the plug in their plan. And the reason why is because these quarterbacks typically go to really bad teams. And these bad teams generally don't have the patience, if that's what the quarterback needs, to sit them through that rookie year.
Okay.
And there are some with extenuating circumstances. Like Johnny Manziel only got on the field because the owner sort of pushed it, right? But that's another example of what can happen to screw the timeline up. I had a great conversation with Matt LaFleur about this last summer, and I asked him, hey, do you still look at it like we did the right thing for Jordan Love and sitting him for 3 years? And LaFleur's response was, I think every young quarterback should have that. And he's like, and I know it's not realistic in a lot of spots. He's like, we were really lucky to have the situation that we had. And his thing was, there's nothing more important than a young quarterback's confidence. And if you throw him out there before he's ready, you're going to shatter that confidence. And you see this with Zach Wilson. Once that confidence is gone at this level of the sport, where you have these sorts of athletes where the game moves this fast, it's almost impossible to get the confidence back.
All right. Well, listen, it's all going down 2 weeks from today.
Yep.
Is when the NFL draft is coming on. So next week you'll have Hardy and John.
No Fred tomorrow? Next week?
I'm going to be in Hilton Head with my daughter.
Okay.
And Wallach won't be here past Monday.
You're out
Monday,
too?
out the rest of the
He's
week.
going south. But it's spring.
So who am I in with?
He should be up here.
On Friday next week? Who am I in with? Hardy, you going to be here?
Hardy and Holly.
Yeah.
Hardy and Holly. Maybe we'll do like a 2-hour draft spectacular.
We're still going to be doing Masters wrap-up.
On Friday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're still wrapping it up?
It starts Monday with us, and then it continues.
They get to
throughout the
broadcast
week.
from Hopkinton.
That's
on,
right.
On Monday.
We're very excited about that.
Oh, really?
New partnership.
Outside.
This radio station and the marathon. We're starting kicking it off in
that's
grand
awesome.
style.
The marathon needed a little push.
Yeah.
And
Not popular at all in this
I'm a
area.
2-time Boston Marathon alum. You remember back in the day?
Yes, I do.
Back when I was hitting the pavement.
I do.
You ran
remember
the
that.
Boston Marathon
Twice, yeah.
Oh.
That's how I met Emily.
Really?
Yes.
You bang her on the
very,
course?
very whole.
They hung around Hopkinton in the morning.
I actually took advantage of these training runs that we had where I was faster than my one buddy, and it's one of my best friends. He was my connection to Emily, so me and Emily would finish the training run before him and start drinking before he got there. So that was
What were your times in the marathon? The times you ran it?
4:20, and I don't.
Oh, hell yeah!
4:20, baby.
4:20.
Yeah.
4:20, and then the second one was not as good. The second one, the problem was we went skiing a couple weeks before, and you're not supposed to do that.
You were still cold?
No. It's just what it does to your legs. Yeah. So and it's sort of
420 is very impressive.
For me, it was I've never been a distance runner. I run now because just to stay in shape, and I like running, but you guys look at me. I'm not built like a distance runner,
420 is very impressive. That's a great time. I'm not being sarcastic. That's a very good time.
I mean, it was an unbelievable experience. Like turning that corner onto Boylston is pretty indescribable. It was awesome. I would advise anybody to do it. It was great. The thing that sucks about the day itself's fine. It's the thing that sucks about is how it just for the 2-3 months leading up to it, it completely takes over your life.
But it's awesome because you can wear stupid clothes and run down Commonwealth Avenue and get in everyone's way.
And you get to train.
There's Newton resident Fred Toucher, who's probably very annoyed with all the people just hanging around town in April every year.
I don't care. It's just that on Commonwealth Avenue, I'm
sure it's a little much.
No, but they get this sense of entitlement where they're mad at you for driving. I'm not mad at them.
Not a marathon.
They're mad at me.
Well, ComEd has leading up to it.
No, this isn't the marathon.
Runs.
This isn't the marathon's the marathon.
Yes. ComAv has that little those, doesn't it?
Yes,
have
and
the alleys. Right?
Yeah, but if you have to cross an alley in your car, which is what an automobile has to do, they look at you well in advance. They're running and you're pulling up, and they look at you.
So this is
they're gonna kill you.
This is
you're in a car.
This is like a cousin of my hatred of cyclists.
You got to be. Don't.
Yeah.
Bert.
I know.
Don't.
Well,
you don't want to do it.
You call them cyclists because that's what they want to be called, because that's what you call yourself if you're an advanced biker, right?
Yes.
Cyclists. They're not bikers. They're cyclists. I once almost missed a flight in Florida because you guys know Alligator Alley.
Yes, of course.
A quote-unquote Peloton had taken over all of Alligator Alley, and there was a bus blocking traffic that allowed them to go. So I swear to God, we were going at the speed of a bike down Alligator Alley, and I almost missed a flight.
60.
Yeah, it was the most annoying thing. Just use the bike pass. Don't use our roads.
If there was only more bike paths in Boston, but I even what bicyclists wear, whatever, I don't know their lifestyle. I do know for a fact that you don't have to dress like that to run, especially on a Saturday.
Oh, the cyclists are way worse. They all dress up. They all dress up.
But that's a lifestyle I'm not familiar with. I do know running.
Yeah,
I've run before. It's not required that you wear neon at 11 in the morning.
Well, I also don't think they're going to the extent of pretending that they're Lance Armstrong with the way that they dress.
I don't know. Some of them dress
you aren't on Team Discovery Channel, dude. You can chill out with the tights and the shirt.
But
yeah,
that makes it fun.
Yeah.
All right.
Can spot them in
they have it's just some dad and he's got a Mercedes Benz
that
logo.
guy's running
is that
for
your
Team
sponsor?
Discovery, yeah.
Is that your sponsor for biking through Situate?
That's my team.
It was great.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Thanks, Bert.
Bert
Thanks,
BREER,
guys.
thank you so much. We'll be back in just a moment.
You're listening to Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Oh, Hardy. Yeah.
Toucher and Hardy on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy. Billy Jaffe, who did you watch the Carolina game? Sean, you probably didn't because you were probably knee deep in Milwaukee Celtics. Because on the kind, if you're ever called out of the bullpen, you got to be on top.
I actually watched both.
Yeah, I find that hard to believe.
Flip back and forth.
John watches every Celtics game, and I do believe it's in case they call you off the bench. Isn't that right, John?
That's not the case.
You're going to deny it, but it's true.
Well, then you've left me no possible way to be right about this. You've covered both bases. I'm telling you the truth. The truth is that's not the case. I'm a Celtic fan, and therefore I watch Celtic games.
But outside
independent of whether or not I call them,
that you only respond, which was a real slog this year. But is there any other team that you watch all their games besides the Celtics?
I don't watch Celtic games on weekends necessarily. Just like I don't watch Bruins games necessarily if it's a Friday or Saturday night.
Oh, Jesus, John. What good are you?
You used to watch every every pitch of every Red Sox
I used
game.
to, yeah.
I remember that about you.
Yeah.
When?
Years ago on the show. I heard him talking about it on the air one morning.
Yeah, like 5, 6, 7 years ago.
You had kids at that point. Way to just to completely ignore them.
They were young enough. They were going to bed early at one point. I didn't have to worry about it.
The thing I always think about that is the most impressive is Lockhart's dad for years. Consumed literally, because it was like he was a completist. He consumed either on radio or television. He made a point to and did it. Literally every single pitch of the Red Sox
including
season.
like the game against Northeastern in late February in Fort Myers. Completist. That includes spring training games.
Which is it's like being able to play Eruption on guitar. Like it's one of those things. Like if you can say you've done it, it's very impressive. Because my father, as much time as he has, and as much as he's a huge Cardinal fan, he'll probably check in with every game. But I don't think there's ever been a season he's seen everything. All right. What do we got here, Hardy? You tell me.
Oh, okay.
You're reading YouTube as we speak.
No, we're going back to it. I didn't realize we were going to have time, but let's do it. There was a story out of Fort Collins, Colorado,
where the Descendants are now based. Go ahead. The Blasting Room, Bill Stevenson's recording studios there. Against Me have recorded many, many albums there.
Very good. I once recommended to the Dropkick Murphys that they cover Thrash Unreal because I thought that lent itself to a Dropkicks cover and talk about just speaking something into the ether. I don't think bands like it when you suggest things for them.
Who's Thrash Unreal?
That's the name of the song by Against Me that I thought the Dropkicks would do a really good cover of. But all right. So this investigation started in the summer of 2023. It culminated with an announcement last month from the Fort Collins Police Department in a video that is meant to merely inform, but comes across, I believe, as the most terrifying thing I've heard in months. So, Fred, if you would, please.
Hello, Fort Collins. I am Jeff Swoboda, your police chief, and I want to let you know about a truly disturbing case that we are currently investigating. Starting last summer, we had an individual going around town and at various coffee shops.
Yeah. You got to wait.
What are you supposed to do while you're waiting for your latte?
Well, I've requested everyone scald my genitals.
So this
Big whoop.
They're getting reports of.
Why do you think I'm getting the hot water? No, I don't need a tea bag.
Going around and pleasuring himself in various ways.
Various ways, yes.
And they said this warrants an investigation. So they started investigating. Is there any truth to this terrible, terrible report? So they started investigating.
Okay, so this guy seems pretty happy about it because he knows he's going to go viral with this thing. Listen to his voice. He's like, hi, I'm police chief.
His demeanor is, yes, it's off-putting.
Hello, Fort Collins. I am Jeff Swoboda, your police chief, and I want to let you know about a truly disturbing case that we are currently investigating. Starting last summer, we had an individual going around town and at various coffee shops. He was trying to get the attention of people who work there or who were there just to buy coffee.
Yeah, how, excuse me, no, my name's not Ron, it's John. You wrote it the wrong name on the thing. Excuse me, I'm the one masturbating. I'm John, not Ron. Please write my real name. How many times are I going to come here and self-pleasure for you to listen?
It sounds like they're taking it, a very calm stance about this. He's just looking for attention. I mean,
Don't feed him. He's just looking for attention.
Don't give in to this.
Yeah, don't
this
slap the glass. He's just gonna. It's like if you go to the zoo and you sit there and the orangutan is sitting there pulling it. Don't pound the glass.
Unfortunately, this is
He'll
not
just throw poo.
This is not all he was up to, Fred.
Well, if you say something to me, I'll just throw feces.
Yeah. Well, we ultimately made an arrest on a Stephen Masalta. Mr. Masalta has been in custody since that arrest. It was clear that Mr. Masalta had committed many more crimes. There were other victims in our community. You see, Mr. Masalta was an employee at 1426 East Harmony Road, the Safeway.
Oh, Safeway.
So
you got a criminal working there? No way.
If you're like the manager or maybe the district VP for Safeway, you're thinking, oh, this isn't great, but at least we're getting some top of mind awareness. He's mentioned the store and the address. That's good for us, right?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. He gave the specific address,
Yes.
which is you probably would want to know too.
Sure.
Like, which Safeway was he at?
And that's how I refer to everything by its address.
Yeah,
by its street address.
Yeah, good riddance. Like we all know on Tappan Street, there's a grocery store where everyone gets yelled at.
He was employed there for about 2 months. During that 2 months, on the videos, we can see that Mr. Masalta had and injected on multiple items of food in the store.
And so if you were a customer, there's nothing we can do about it now. But just so you know.
Why are you telling us this?
Guess what you were eating. Now, it's had no negative effect on you, and it's just what's done is done. But just so you know, and we're not sure if it was your food, but there's a chance, however slight, that it was could be used for procreation. Which is a very clever way of saying that, if I may pat myself on the back.
Well done.
Does that, why would you give the address of the Safeway to tell someone that something that's probably at the end of the day not negative to your health?
I don't know why they're telling the general public any of this.
And we know people that if they had this information that they were in that store, it would drive them insane to the degree where they would never recover.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they would want
to. If you're the kind of person who took a paper, we wouldn't take the top newspaper because it was dirty. You took the one in the middle.
Let's say it's somebody who comes in and wipes down everything before they sit down at this position every day.
What if you told Felger, when your assistant goes to the Stop and Shop in Wellesley or the Whole Foods in Wellesley and then picks up your food, I got news for you. The apple you just consumed very well could have had more seed in it than just what was lied beneath the skin.
Yes.
Can I get credit for that at least,
Yes.
John? You look at me like I'm not even here sometimes.
It was the procreation joke and the seed joke, and you're batting 1,000.
That's a rare you double. Get it, Hardy.
No,
but I expect more guffaws from John's direction. All right, so this guy's he's got it. He's spraying all over the place. He loves it.
No, that was
ropes on the cantaloupes.
Oh, please, you can't say that. Peter North. Thank God it wasn't him.
Throw your hands up if you want to, Dan. I think I can say that.
And you know what?
I didn't dump it. I was like, yeah. That wasn't not a no. That was a hey.
I thought that was missed. I thought that was sneaky Peter North reference. You went right over it. Didn't recognize it.
Thank you, John, for
standing
up for me now.
Right. That was impressive.
I'm trying my best over here. I'm not working blue.
He started paying attention, and he's now he wants credit for it.
I'm still laughing about Fred's seed comment.
Thank you. You don't know how many emails I get. Those guys don't appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah. It was items of food that weren't commercially sealed.
Why? Okay, stop. No joking. Why? Why would you say this? You're not going to get hurt. You're not going to get hepatitis or anything. It's probably all killed off by that point. There's so much chemicals on that crap anyway. What good is it? And the chances that you had the fruit are probably 1 in 10,000.
Yeah.
What is the point? Why would you tell people this? And the address. I'm being dead serious.
At the very least, give it the soundtrack that it deserves.
Hello, Fort Collins. I am Jeff Swoboda, your police chief. I want to let you know about a truly disturbing case. We had an individual going around town and at various coffee shops. It was clear that Mr. Basalta had committed many more crimes. Many more. And injected on multiple items of food that weren't commercially sealed. There's no doubt that there will be more victims identified. More victims. All right, Fort Collins, we will keep you posted as this evolves. Thanks.
Put some graphics in there. Add a soundtrack. Do something that is appropriate.
It's just TT Boy with his resting his chin on his hands.
But instead,
a deep cut there.
That guy,
nah, not really. Mike Horner.
TT Boy.
Back when there was only a handful.
TT Boy, you really gotta know your stuff.
That's actually not true. There was only like 6 dudes in it. Like in the 80s and 90s, like seriously, there was like about 6 guys in every that rotated. It was before Viagra, John. Yeah. It was a much more difficult thing to do.
Not as many woodsmen around back then.
Nope.
I understand. Yeah.
But I appreciate the Fort Collins Police Department getting this information out there, even if the tone of it was not, well, it was more like this.
Hello, Fort Collins. I am Jeff Swoboda, your police chief, and I want to let you know about a truly disturbing case that we are currently investigating. We had an individual going around town and at various coffee shops. It was clear that Mr. Basalta had committed many more crimes. Mr. Basalta had and injected on multiple items of food that weren't commercially sealed. There's no doubt that there will probably be more victims identified. All right, Fort Collins, we will keep you posted as this evolves. Thanks.
Well, it's not going to evolve. It was wasted. It's not how evolution
works. It's
works.
not going to grow.
No.
Cells will not divide. That's not going to happen.
No. You could grow some kind of weird hybrid apple. And like an apple, like if you left the potato out and like all of a sudden it's walking around the counter.
I've heard of Johnny Appleseed, but this is ridiculous.
Oh, you. He was quite a guy, a hero guaranteed as American as apple pie, which, by the way, he also used. Who's to say it was even fruit? It could have just been bread.
Well, no, he said produce. And
I didn't hear produce.
Well,
maybe the dough.
Things that weren't commercially sealed. Maybe it was also one of they had the hot meals ready to go, and there's some soups.
Yeah, so if you're going into a Wegmans or Whole Foods today, just know that.
Just have a copy of this podcast on hand.
Yeah, just
while you're touring the
while
aisles.
you're picking up your chicken fingers out of that bin that's available for everyone.
Enjoy your clam chowder.
Exactly. All right, very good. I'm glad I don't live in Fort Collins. I would not want to know that. Would it even bother you that much? Honestly,
it would bother me.
Like if it was like 3 months later and you heard it,
it would still bother me.
If 1 in 10,000 chance really that it was you?
Odds are the only produce I would have purchased were bananas. I'm like, it's fine. I touched the peel. It's fine.
Yeah, I get the pre-cut stuff. I ate it this morning. You saw me. I do it in front of you guys so you know how healthy
But that
I
was
am.
commercially sealed.
Yeah, I know. There's no way. It would have to have been, well, an employee. It could have been, if it's an employee, it could have been, no, it wasn't commercially sealed. It was sealed by the store. So that I guess I could have been.
Get Fort Collins Police on the phone. What do you mean by commercially sealed?
I don't think
we
it would
need to know.
At this point, like unless you told me someone did it to me, then it would really bug me. But if it was just like, I think I could get this out of my mind.
But there are people who would not be able to get it out of their mind. They're like, we want to see the tapes time-stamped. We want to see what he did.
and
then I'm
that's
going
just
to
not
cross-reference my receipt if I was in there that day and what I bought.
I could get over it. I think I could move past it. Honestly, it wouldn't bother me that much because it wouldn't bother me. I've thought about it. Way to go, Fred. That wouldn't have bothered you. Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Now you have evolved. Good
Thank
for
you. I have. I really have. I'm working on it, buddy. All right. Here are the headlines.
Sports Hub.
Hey, we are Toucher and Hardy, and we are brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel. And Hardy's got his Masters hat on today that he probably bought at Augusta National.
I did. Absolutely.
Yeah, because it's the Masters, so
It's
he's
a
wearing
different Masters hat than the one he was wearing yesterday.
And maybe a different one from the one I'll be wearing tomorrow.
He wears, it's one for the first round, one for the second round. If you don't know, Hardy cried when Tiger Woods won the Masters.
You know what it was?
Ago.
I was thinking about it yesterday. It wasn't when he won, and I blame CBS for this. If you were watching, you will remember they, right before he holed out the final putt, they showed footage from him in 1997 walking off the green and embracing his father. And the two of them,
went out to a trailer where his father had an affair with another woman that wasn't his mother.
No, they showed him walking off the green, embracing his father, and both of them bursting into
having
tears.
Some Ambien and drinks, getting in a car and driving around.
The culmination
of a suspicious accident in Arizona.
And then they went to Perkins.
The culmination
of throwing out the
breakfast.
thing that was in the lady, and then going to Perkins behind the church trash can.
Years of dedication and tough love coupled with undying dedication.
In ruining a person. All he's achieved, but yet emotionally he's so ruined.
And then after Tiger Woods doing what no one thought he'd be able to do,
which is picking up a Perkins waitress and doing her in the church across the street's parking lot. Imagine if you're in that AA meeting, you walk out. Tiger Woods is with some Perkins waitress.
Hardy's going to break. It's going to happen. He's close now.
Can you imagine?
It's going to happen.
You get out, you do serenity prayer, you walk outside, you light up a smoke, and there's Tiger Woods.
Breathe that fresh air.
Going at it. The steamy window.
Martha, what's that?
Romance and finance, it's enough to put you back out there. It really could be.
That's my God shot. Tiger Woods with the Perkins waitress in the parking lot.
They showed that shot of him walking off the green, and then after he holed out his putt, essentially a mirror image of him walking off and embracing his own son, Charlie Woods, and having a moment with his son and his daughter and whoever the girlfriend was at the time, who apparently had to sign a non-disclosure agreement.
Well, I don't blame
suing him for $30 million, so she won't talk about stuff. Forget that part of it. It was this, art imitating life, life imitating art, whatever it was. It was this moment, and it was captured perfectly, and that's what sent me over the edge. And I was not the only one. A lot of people were affected by that
sunrise,
image,
sunset.
That image, and yes,
sent you over the edge.
Yes. Well, yeah, that's when I kind of broke down emotionally.
That's when he walked into the grocery store in Fort Collins.
That's right.
Sent him over the edge. Yeah. So it's raining. So Hardy was all excited to be watching the Masters right now, and oh boy, these promos on these radio shows, my favorite event of the year. And I told you, I heard a radio show yesterday. The guy taking calls, and he's like, I'm going to the Masters. And they're like, okay, it could rain on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
So it gets slick. So you want to have a chair with a pole in it. So you can stick the pole down, and then you can use that chair as a walking stick as well.
And it's very, very slopey and very slippery and very slick. I told you about.
That's just sad that you get to an age where you have to worry, is the grass going to be wet?
Seat cloth saw Wayne Gretzky almost go ass over tea kettle, and then his wife yelled at him. Janet Jones yelled at him for being
at school. But ask one of our guests coming up about Wayne Gretzky and why he might have been falling on the golf course.
Not at Augusta. He would not have been impaired in any way.
No.
It's very slippery there. I appreciate tips like that, and I received lots of information from lots of people before I went.
Yes,
and they were
like a brain dead idiot behind the driving range. That does fascinate me. My dad.
You ever go to batting practice?
No, you can't at Fenway, but I have been to a batting practice before.
Why? Why would you do that?
I don't know. It was boring. It really was. Batting practice is boring. It might be good for my son to see because he plays. Competitively, unlike us that play golf. And, but no, batting practice is pretty boring.
Well, I don't think it's boring watching the best handful of guys who are literally the best in the world at what they do, honing their craft.
I'm just fascinated how long they can stand there. That does fascinate me. Like, I hate the golfers on the driving range. Like, they show it on the Golf Channel now because they're going back to Monday for coverage because they're panicking because it's raining. But I mean, they hit a ball and then they dick around for like 5 minutes.
Do you want to know why? They're trying to mimic what it's like to be on the golf course. There's different types of range sessions. So I'm sure these guys
What kind of range sessions? What are the range sessions?
Well, I'm sure Tiger will go out there and he's got his own thing. An hour before he tees off and he goes through the bag, and you can set your watch by it in terms of what clubs he hits.
Have you ever done that?
At what point?
Have you ever gone, what time is it? And then let's see what Tiger's doing.
It must be 7 iron o'clock.
When I went to the Open Championship at St. Andrews a couple summers ago, we were with some other people who all they wanted to do was see Tiger. I'm like, I'm walking.
All they wanted to do was amyl nitrate.
I'm walking the entire golf course. What do you guys want to do? And they said, we want to see Tiger. I said, well, here's what you do. And I went over to the driving range and said, you're not going to get near him on the course.
No.
So what you do is he's going to be at the far end of the range here. And we sat down about
every waitress from here to Timbuktu is going to be around them.
90 minutes before his tee time. I said, sit down right here in a half an hour.
You know who's not going to be around? His dad.
Why, Fred? Because he's dead, or because he was with his other family in Oklahoma?
He was philandering. It was no dead joke. It was a joke about
pick one.
philandering.
Why not? He can't be there for two reasons. Number one, he had that other family that he could be off visiting, but also he's dead. Waka waka.
No, the family one is funnier than the dead one, because I'll be dead one day, as will you.
And I sat them down and said, sit here, dum-dums, and Tiger will be right in front of you hitting balls starting in 18 minutes. And they're like, how do you know? And I said, I know. And he was, and he did, right. And they saw him, and they did that, and I walked the course.
Rob, go ahead. Robert. Oh, God.
Hey, you got me?
Yes, I do, as a matter of fact.
Oh, I was Tony, but that's all right. I'll be Robert.
Why not? Nick's an idiot. There's 2 calls a day. He can't get the name right. Go ahead.
So I got a long shot for the Masters. I don't know what Hardy thinks. It's his first time playing, but what are the chances that Tony P and DC and his hog make it up the leaderboard?
If he played, and you know Tony P's got a sweet swing if you watch his Instagram account. You know Tony P's got a sweet swing.
He's got a robust driver. He does.
He's got a robust set of selection
he
shots.
Can swing the wrench.
There's no question about that. If you don't know what he's referring to, last night, I'll just do it. I'm not going to read the things. But last night, my faith in humanity, I'm not exaggerating, was restored. There is an Instagram account that you might already follow. I'm sorry I'm late to the party. At Tony P in DC. Whatever about his account. _ Tony P in DC. Whatever his account. The people that comment on it are so clever and funny and on the mark with all their comments that they were that collectively funny was amazing to me. And I'm not exaggerating, and you know I'm not prone to hyperbole with this. I was crying, laughing, tears running down my face, laughing for an hour and a half. I was up until 11:30 last night, like an idiot, alone in bed. I was sitting there crying, laughing at the comments on this guy's stuff. And it just restored my faith that social media, a collective of people, can actually be that funny. It's not comedians. It's just you and I, everyone, collectively on the same page, making very, very funny comedy. And it was actually a profound experience for me. _ Tony P in DC. Nothing he's doing is funny.
Don't go on unless you've got some time, because we all made the mistake when Burt BREER was here, and I don't want to say wasted, but spent the entire first segment.
No, we wasted it.
The three of us just sitting here reading comments and chuckling to ourselves.
Yeah, it was not the greatest radio. It was a mistake on my part, but I couldn't help it. Was so moved yesterday. I'm not kidding, really. It was actually moving.
Oh, you were moved to tears? Oh, well, let me make fun of you for a few minutes.
I was laughing. Please do. Make me laugh. That would be great. You know what would be funny? Aerosmith are playing in Boston on the 31st. That might be good for a couple.
This was the New Year's Eve show from last year that has been pushed
They're
back
playing
like
for
a year,
sure.
a year and a half.
They never
Right.
refunded the tickets. Did you know that? Like Aerosmith never refunded. Eddie Trunk's all over it. Eddie Trunk was not pleased. Eddie Trunk was like, they've not refunded the tickets.
He's doing a 4-part expose on the
Well, he was just on the
non-refunding of
rock cruise, and he had Uriah Heep on, and I'm not making that up.
Uriah Heep.
And then he
Let's
was
hear it.
like, Uriah Heep, you have so many great songs, but you had this one hit in the United States. They discussed it. In Germany, another song was very big. I'm not making up that this interview took place. All right, we will be back with Billy Jaffe, who at the games, they did something. Billy Jaffe, big star. I'll tell you what I'm talking about.
Oh, I know. I know what they did. I
You
saw it.
that.
I
Wasn't
saw
that
it.
crazy?
Yeah, it was cool.
It
was fun, Fred.
Man, there was no Tony P in D.C.
That's
I mean, he wasn't. I don't know how locked in everyone was. All right, we'll be back.
Toucher and Hardy, 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Right now.
Celtics are front and center this morning. Some news to get to. Last night, the team signed Drew Holiday to a 4-year contract extension. It's a prize package worth $135 million. Holiday declined the option year of his former deal to get this done. On the court, the Green are back home to face the Knicks at TD Garden tonight. Grandy and Max have the pregame at 7 and the tip-off at 7:30 on the BetMGM 98.5, the Sports Hub Celtics Radio Network. Holiday, by the way, one of 6 people listed as questionable, along with Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Al Horford, Kristaps Porzingis, and Xavier Tillman. After hurting himself against the Celtics 2 nights ago, the Milwaukee Bucks have ruled out Giannis Antetokounmpo for the rest of the regular season. An MRI revealed only a strained calf muscle. The Red Sox blew a 5-0 sixth-inning lead. They lost to Baltimore last night 7-5 at Fenway Park. Cutter Crawford threw 5 shutout innings and then was lifted. He appeared to step on first base awkwardly while recording an out. Alex Cora seems to think, though, that things are all right.
Yeah, they're checking on him. Hopefully, as of now, nothing serious. Just kind of like he slipped a little bit on the bag around his knee, but nothing to be concerned right now.
Jordan Westberg hit a go-ahead 3-run homer in the top of the 7th inning for the Winners after a wild pitch, a pass ball, and a catcher's interference made things interesting. Sox are 7-5. They'll play the Orioles again tonight. Weather permitting, the first round of the Masters begins today in Augusta. Play is now set to start at 10:30 this morning after heavy rain earlier. And the Frozen Four begins today in St. Paul, Minnesota. BU plays Denver at 5 o'clock, and that'll be followed by BC against Michigan. Sports Hub headlines are driven by Polestar Boston. They're teaming up with Boston goalie Linus Ullmark to save you from boring electric vehicles. See the Polestar 2 at Polestar Boston in Alston today. Tell them Linus sent you. I'm John Wallach at Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 9:30.
Tatum has been spectacular.
This is Jason Tatum.
Right corner against Embiid. Tatum for a 50-piece.
You're listening to the home of Boston Celtics basketball. 98.5 The Sports Hub.
In the office, in your car, in your footy pajamas, this is how Boston sports fans start their day.
I bet you're just jealous.
Toucher and Hardy on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
We put this festival on you, bastards. With a lot of love.
Hey, we're Toucher and Hardy. Billy Jaffe just had hip replacement surgery. He's the Bruins analyst for Nesson, and he's delivered by Granite City Electric's GCE Night Train electrical contractors. Get on board the GCE Night Train. Order your materials to be delivered overnight to the job site and the following morning and save time and money. Go to GCEnighttrain.com. Billy joins us on the Volkswagen Dealers Expert Hotline. Hello, Mr. Billy Jaffe.
Hello, Mr. Fred Toucher.
We appreciate you coming on after extensive surgery. We missed you on the Carolina game.
I missed being there too. I watched it from home, and but yeah, I missed being there. But only game I'll miss, and I'm getting going. All good.
I will say this: the woman there on the thing made on the broadcast made. I'm sorry, I forget her name off the top of my head. Sophia made a very big deal about you not being there, and then they flashed to the crowd, and what are they doing? But they have a jumbo like Wallach head, but it's Billy Jaffe.
Hey,
and they're tossing this Billy Jaffe head around like there's nobody's business. That had to be surreal.
The problem with that though is they were pointing it out because it was the big head race between Raycroft, Jaffe, and Peterson. And Raycroft won by a hair. I was hoping to win by an eyebrow. That would have been appropriate given the size of mine. But otherwise, Razor won the race. So I lost that big head race. But otherwise, it was very nice of them to recognize us.
Yeah, they made quite a big deal about you not being there. You're obviously a hot commodity at Nesson.
They're wonderful people. I appreciate them. Yeah. I had, it wasn't a great game to watch. Understatement. And I'm sure you guys already. I know you guys have already talked about it, but. It was painful, I guess, to use a pun intended. But listen, it's one game, but it has to be the biggest thing to me is right now is the power play, right? Like they've got to rectify this somehow, some way. You don't have to go at 30%, but you need to get it up to heck. I'd take 18% right now.
All right, but I want to ask you about what's going on in Arizona because that is fascinating. So, Arizona right now is playing in a college or Arizona State.
The Mullet Center, yes.
Yeah, they're playing in the Mullet Center. It's a
4,600 seats.
Yeah, it's an embarrassment to hockey. Tell us everything that's going on.
Well, the word is that the league has been in negotiation or discussions with the owner of the Utah Jazz. And the Utah Jazz owner and his wife, who are, I guess, multi-billionaires, have been really clamoring for an NHL team for a while. They've got I think it's called Delta Center. It might be Delta Arena. Forgive me if I have the name
Delta
wrong.
Center. Yep.
Delta Center. Thanks, Johnny. And but it's not built for hockey, right? It's going to have to be retrofitted. You know, the New York Islanders did that for a handful of years at Barclays Center, where it was really built for basketball and concert venue more than anything. Regardless, he's got the money, and more importantly, he's got the desire and wants to get this team there. And the league is trying to. I think it's going to happen. I do. It's the old one where there's smoke, there's fire, Fred. In that this looks like a league initiated type thing, because with the owner saying, "All right, we'll move him here. We're going to buy the team." It looks like from the league, so the league would buy it from the current owners, the Murillo family of Arizona. It would go to the league, and then they would pay a premium, Fred, on top of that. Rumors are $300 million premium. That's rumors. We'll see when the numbers pan out. But they would then move them for next season to Salt Lake City, which isn't a huge, if you're looking at the numbers of people living and also of TV audience, et cetera, the market size, Salt Lake is not as big as Arizona. However, they're saying the desire is significantly bigger and the stability is there. Then the last caveat, whether this is true or not, Fred and guys, we'll see, is that the league then would consider expansion, because the league, I think, is absolutely going to do 2 more teams within 2 years. I do. They're going to consider expansion for Arizona again, perhaps for the current owner who would have to repurchase then the team.
Okay, so the idea is they'd move a team to Salt Lake City, and then they would add 2 expansion teams. They'd give one back to Arizona, which is puzzling, because that team's never been popular or ever been good.
Well, what they would do, just sorry to interrupt, but this is what I would say. I'm guessing what they're saying is, look, by the time we were to give an expansion team back, if big capital I, capital F, back to Arizona, they would have their arena already being built. They wouldn't have this quandary, I'm being kind, of playing in this college arena, and it would have a legit or more legit feel to it, and perhaps a reset, given in fact that the owner would get paid off for his franchise right now, have the money to pay a significant fee too for a franchise, that it would be a lot better. Now, they're also saying that if you go back into the mid-90s when the Arizona Coyotes, they were then Phoenix Coyotes, that they were widely popular. They were playing in the basketball. It was called, I think, American Airlines Arena in downtown Phoenix. Just again, it was not a new arena. It wasn't built for hockey, but they were very popular at that time. So they're working on location of this arena, Fred, hypothetical arena.
All right, where would the second expansion franchise go?
It feels like Atlanta, but I don't know if Atlanta's going to get, there was a thing about 10 days ago about Atlanta not getting, or the developers not getting what they wanted in this proposal to build up an area, and I think it's South Forsyth, Fred, in that
Jesus.
area.
What city?
I don't know exactly. It would be northwest, not northeast like Duluth in the Gwinnett County, but the other.
Why won't they move anything downtown anymore? This notion that you can't be in Atlanta? Atlanta's really destroying itself. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know. I actually haven't studied the city demographics of the monetary and everything of Atlanta, what's going on there, the business sector of it. But I think people with the transportation, Fred, I don't need to tell you, the public transportation there is brutal.
But they're doing, well, I'll tell you what it is. It's a white flight from Atlanta, and it's what happened to Detroit in all these cities in the 60s that took 50 years to rectify. Like, it's ridiculous. It's like a publicly funded white flight for no reason out of Atlanta. Atlanta was fine.
I liked Atlanta when we were there in the sense of I thought it was actually growing. I thought it was developing. It wasn't always ideal. I mean, again, the transportation issue was awful. If they put some real structure, real thought into developing the MARTA transportation system and really making it something that is viable instead of just potentially usable, it would have changed, I think, the growth of the city.
And
but
you
again,
know why they didn't do
anything.
that? And you know why they didn't do it? Is because of it was racism that they didn't do it. It was that whole idea is that we don't want those people coming up here. It wasn't getting into the city. It was the people that came out of the city.
Yeah, but and I think that the traffic and the idea that people are either not going downtown Atlanta because of what you said, Fred, whether it's white flight or whether it's
white flight.
Okay, so
That's exactly what it is.
So people, but on top of that, traffic-wise, if they can't get people to go to the games,
you can't have it there.
Then the NHL is more likely to say, okay, let's take a huge, urban area, whether it's Atlanta or Houston or someplace where
Houston really wants a team. Too.
And
that owner,
it's a huge city.
Really
I think
it's a huge city and
big market.
They can afford to go out to one of these suburbs like South Forsyth, which is what, northeast of Atlanta,
Northwest.
Okay, and look at it and say, okay, even though it's not in the city proper, there's so many frickin' people around here. It makes more sense to do it here, where we'll still be able to put people in the seats, as opposed to say Milwaukee. Doesn't Wisconsin want a team?
Well, I think what is the term, indemnity? I believe that this is something that the Chicago Blackhawks forever have had with regard to the Milwaukee market, and that the Wirtz family, they would say that would be too close and encroach in their market. It's it's something that there would be either a significant payoff, like I'm talking too cumbersome of a payoff, Hardy, or it's even not. It may even be in the old bylaws that it's not allowed, because I grew up in Chicago and people always would say Milwaukee's a great market, but there was always word that the Wirtz family did not want the NHL in Milwaukee creeping into their market.
Why not put another team in Canada where they would
Quebec
sell out
City.
of Quebec
Where?
City?
Quebec City can't afford it. I know it's romantic. I would love it. Let me make it clear. I would love a team in Quebec City. However, you would end up having, within about 5 years, maybe you could get 7 years of good, not just attendance, but if you're putting a team by up their wallet, you're paying probably $1 billion expansion fee. If you don't have the corporate dollars, which they don't up there, they have one major corporation, the telecom company up there. If you don't have it, you can't go to those are the people that pay, I'm making it up, $300 Canadian per ticket or whatever it is. Okay. You can't go to the average person up there. There's not enough industry up there and enough people. You may have enough population that would want to go to a game, but I don't know how many could afford to go to the game.
All right, not Quebec City. I've heard for years that Toronto could support a second team.
Well, no, you don't want to do that.
But I guess what I'm saying is, you want instant sellouts. Find a Canadian city.
Well, put it in Houston, because Houston is the fifth largest media market.
Yeah, I think Houston's interesting too. I wonder. So again, we're being hypothetical here. If they stay in Arizona, if the rumors end up being true, and they go back there. So then you also have Salt Lake. You need to get a team to the east, unless you move another team that's currently playing from the west and move them to the east. Otherwise, because Houston is not, they're going to be probably considered a Western Conference Central Division type of team. So that's where the balance comes into play. I don't disagree with you. I mean, look, Houston, to me, I've always found it an odd market. I don't know. I used to go down there an awful lot for the old IHL days, the International Hockey League, and the city itself. I just felt like not felt like, it's expansive. It's like 2 downtowns there. And I don't know. It was always, I always enjoyed visiting, but it was weird, I felt. Can it support a team though? Yes. It's got a crap ton of money down there. You've got an owner that is, again, billionaire, and they could do it. But they'd have to figure out as well, what I don't think they're playing. Where's the basketball team playing now, John?
It's called the Toyota Center. I don't know anything about geographics with Houston. I don't know what it's close to and what it's not close to.
Well, I think it's down to, again,
it is downtown. It is downtown, but I mean, I don't know what section of
the baseball stadium?
No, the basketball.
Oh,
basketball.
Yeah, I know where the baseball stadium is.
Yeah,
we were there, John.
That's right.
So there's a lot going on, and yesterday was kind of a big day of a couple of revelations that. And by the way,
my favorite part of the Bible.
Last week, the potential owner of the Salt Lake team, put out there on social media, if we got a team in Salt Lake, what would the name? What would you want it to be?
The Mormons.
So.
The marauding Mormons.
The marauding Mormons. There is obviously, again, I think the smoke fire thing is kind of it's starting to play up.
All right. Well, I just love Salt Lake City, and I love going there, and I love everything about it.
Another place out west that's absolutely not running out of water and is not an environmental disaster on the verge of collapse. So it's got that going for it too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'll tell you this, Billy Jaffe. I hope you're doing well after your hip surgery.
We're getting through it, buddy. Thank you.
How you feeling? I don't think Fred ever asked you. He just started talking about other
He's
stuff.
always complaining about his health. I would assume poor.
I tell you what, how am I feeling when certain meds kick in? It's been great. Actually, I've tried to stop taking them yesterday, but overall good.
When was the last time you took a dump on those things? Huh?
That's a good question. I'm going on too, and that is mission impossible today, now. So I'm going to have a coffee, and we're going to figure it out.
Treat yourself to a Dulcolax.
I may have to.
Well, that's the thing. You keep on those things, you're going to
That's
get
why I wanted
ventriculitis.
That's why I wanted to get off of them. That's the major thing there.
Yeah.
It's all right. It's discomfort. Anybody who's had it understands the literally the pain in the ass that it is. Like I had the posterior on the side, and you fight through it. And if a couple of days, when I say it's gonna be okay, I'll be all right. I've already been crutching around. It's just you get in certain spots and it's kind of you wince a bit, but all good. Thanks for asking, Hardy.
You're welcome.
Right. Well,
big game Saturday for the Bruins. By the way, tonight Pitt plays Detroit. That could determine Pitt's fate. Boston plays Pitt on Saturday. That game is on ABC, not on NESN. Just so you know, 8:00.
All right, there you go. Pittsburgh shocking themselves, I think, by getting back into this thing.
You are correct with that.
Yeah, but based on the moves they made at the deadline. All right, Billy Jaffe, thank you so much.
Yeah, gents, have a good day.
See ya.
Yep.
Yes, indeed. The pain pills I don't get a high off of them. Like whenever people go like Percocet or Vicodin or something, like every time I've been prescribed Percocet or Vicodin, it makes my heart race. I feel uncomfortable. It makes me sick. Isn't that odd?
Yes.
So it does penetrate whatever
armadillo
walls
shell
you've built up over the years.
Yeah.
This is based on the idea that the Tylenol PM doesn't knock me out the next day. That was the thing. I'm like, oh, that must be awesome that it has that kind of effect on you. And then it became, oh, you have this huge wall.
I bet Wallach's the same way. Wallach, you ever take Tylenol PM?
I have.
How does it affect you the next day?
Not quite as bad as you, but I do feel it a little bit.
How do you know what you're eating, John? It's just scattered underneath the table outside. You don't know if it was a piece of popcorn or a pill, for God's sakes. You damn bird. Stupid bird. Okay,
that's a bird joke. I get that.
Yeah,
that was good.
Yep, you got that right, Jack.
Well done.
All right, we'll be back in just a moment.
Stay tuned for more Toucher and Hardy on the Sports Hub.
Out of the bag.
Get up. We're back. Toucher and Hardy. Get up.
98.5 The Sports Hub.
You know, I got an idea for a bit. The email bit. We should do the email bit. It's a great idea. Let's do the email bit.
Yeah, it's very exciting. It's the email bit. We're Toucher and Hardy. You can email us. Thomas says, why is the podcast posted at different times every day? It's so annoying. Otherwise, keep up the good work, Fred. That's all Nicholas. A lot of people are very upset about Nicholas and his running of the podcast. He gets a lot of complaints about it, and they're all warranted. And I don't know what his deal is. It's too much for him. Apparently, there's an annoying ad that plays in our podcast too, that I get about 100 complaints about. Nicholas, what's your deal? Nicholas, make the podcast better. Nicholas, double check your work.
Yeah,
you're making everyone angry. Nicholas,
we were just talking to Billy Jaffe about the potential move of the Arizona Coyotes to Salt Lake. I said, "Oh, it's an environmental disaster because I have a friend who lives near there, and they want to leave the area." And we just got an email from Mario D'Amato said, "Dust may doom the city. Google it." And the first thing that pops up is the lake bed full of neurotoxins such as mercury and arsenic, known to interfere with human fetuses' development, cause loss of muscular control, and contribute to heart attacks, high blood pressure, and asthma. And there are just article after article about what the Great Salt Lake's dust is doing to the people. One article from just last fall, 15 dust events a year, possibly more, experts say. Hard to know what the exposure to these chemicals is like, but most people agree it's not good.
Well, and that's no joke. I keep referencing these things just because it's 3 books in a row, but there's this author, Mary Carr, that just writes memoirs. They're not anything about the environment. It's never mentioned. But she's from East Texas, like by Louisiana, and it's like swampland and oil refineries. It's like all oil business. And she does offhandedly, because memoirs are obviously about her childhood and her life, like how many people died early of cancer, because it's got one of the highest cancer rates in the country, and it's because of all the oil refineries and everything that's in the air. So best to move. And it's a good thing that they took that lake and just destroyed it. Yeah. They did. Hey, Salt Lake City, we're calling ourselves Salt Lake City after this lake, and meanwhile we're going to poison it enough to kill you, because that's our place here on the planet, is to ruin it and to kill it. Because if anything, as sentient beings, our goal should be to be as selfish enough to destroy everything. But
That's
jobs, Fred.
That's the meaning of life. What are we here for?
I mean, if you really thought about it from a macro perspective, and people are like, but jobs, and you're like, well, let's figure out something else to do that won't eventually end our race.
Yeah. Who's left? Who's left to work those
But
jobs?
that's quasi-science. Say it is. There's some stuff that's not going good. Maybe we could, for one thing, as Bill Burr will talk about, all the garbage in the ocean. There's an island of garbage in the ocean. I got to believe that's not good. Well, you don't know that scientifically. Let's just take a shot in the dark that it is. That one thing, the one thing we probably owe, if we do continue as energy in this world, the one thing that we should probably not do is ruin everything.
Tree hugger.
No, I'm not a tree hugger at all.
Liberal.
Nope. But I am a human, and I would guess that the most important thing for us, it would be not to kill off the species.
Poor little toxic snowflake.
I'm thinking that's a bipartisan issue. I'm thinking that's not one way or another.
I think if anyone thought deeply enough about it, they would agree that maybe that poisoning the world we live in.
Obama.
Fair enough. I voted for Obama. I can't deny that. But I did give Giuliani money, and now that seems like a mistake.
Build a fence right around the entire country.
I don't mind even the wall. I don't care about the wall. If you want to build a wall, it's not.
No, but that was Giuliani's idea to start with.
All right, let's get into why this
all
is
the
different.
way across Canada.
Let's get into why this is different. If you want to build a wall, that is a practical thing. Fine, it's too easy to get into the country. You have a problem with everyone getting into the country. I'm sure there's downfalls. I don't know everything. A wall, at least, is practical. But I can tell you, as a logical fact, destroying the planet that we live on and ending every species on this planet is not how, if there is eternal life, how you want to look back at it and go,
Yeah.
Like, I'm the guy, I'm part of the reason that no one exists anymore.
Well, what species do you miss the most if you're such a species lover?
The duck-billed platypus.
Yeah, Fred, which one is it?
Blue-footed booby?
I adopted a dog
Dodo?
and a cat. And I only have the kids half the time. So
Well
I'm
done.
taking care of these two things.
Well done.
I didn't get them from some pet factory. Go ahead.
I like reading tweets along with the emails sometimes.
Oh, that's a good idea.
I got one from Dan Roach.
Oh.
Quote tweeting, I can only imagine it's some video that Nicholas put together goofing on me and my love of the Masters on the Toucher and Hardy account. But Dan Roach said, love it at Hardy Radio. Life is about finding that passion. Hashtag the Masters. And then he put a little Masters icon in it. Dan Roach loves the emojis and the bitmojis and all that stuff.
There are a lot of things that are worse in life than having Dan Roach in your corner.
Thank you, Dan.
You know what I'm saying?
Thanks, Dan.
This from Joe. Good
he
morning.
said love 8 times if that guy Joe counted it. Go ahead.
Good morning, gents. Fred, you left out Kyle Stone and Jonathan Morgan as one of the few male adult stars back in the 90s. Is that true? Do you know who either of these
I know
two
who
gentlemen
Jonathan
are?
Morgan is. I don't know who Kyle Stone is.
Who is your favorite adult film star of that era?
Female? It would be a female.
I think
I don't
probably,
know.
yes.
I don't know. I look at porn sometimes,
Okay.
and it's all from that era. And
they
there
are
were
ma-
like 6 guys. It's not like a deep knowledge.
The TT Boy reference is a great poll.
TT Boy, I think he does an interview for that Vlad TV, which you've all seen. Even if you don't seen it, know you've seen it, you have seen it. It's not porn. It's just this guy interviewing people on YouTube. I'm talking 200 million views on some stuff. You've seen it, even if you don't. He interviewed TT Boy, and I think TT Boy said he's been in something like 50,000 scenes. So it's like you've seen him work
by the age of 29.
Yeah, well, I know. I think
Seriously.
he's a lifer. I don't think you get out of that. He's,
He's
not
still-
a very
is he
intelligent
still
guy.
alive and working? TT Boy?
Oh, well, he's directing now,
Okay,
John.
sorry. He's producing. They're making a Happy Gilmore too. Shooter McGavin's in it, so he's making a career out of that one role. John the Birdman, if the Celtics don't win the championship...
Whoa. Don't go so fast. Because
Oh.
first of all, you're just reading the first thing that came into your inbox, which is not fair to the people that spent the other 23 hours emailing us. So, John,
I thought the email was good. That's why I was
Well,
reading
he
it.
emails every day, and they are good, but you don't have to use them every day.
Okay.
It's disrespectful to the other people. But Happy Gilmore 2, can I say something controversial?
Yeah.
Sure.
Happy Gilmore, not in like the top 4 Adam Sandler movies. It's a fine movie, but I don't understand why it's lasted this long. Billy Madison's way funnier. Daddy's Boy is really a lot better. And I would imagine other ones are better as well. I know, Hardy, you love golf so much that it doesn't take much. He's a Big Tin Cup guy. He's got those double bogey blues.
What is your favorite golf movie there, Hardy? And that's part of the email.
I know
that
it
didn't
is.
want
I
you to
read it too, but I didn't read it because I wanted to reward the people that emailed throughout the other days.
I saw that. I don't think there's been a great golf movie.
Caddyshack.
Yeah, but sit down with somebody who's never seen it, make them watch it now and see what they
You
think.
can't have a kid watch it, but just for the fart joke.
Just for Ted Knight. I mean, I'll say Caddyshack, but Legend of Bagger Vance is awful.
I've never watched it.
Awful. I mean, the book is schlocky enough, but whatever you could take out of the book that wasn't horrific, they ruined by having Will Smith do one of the most racist portrayals of I will say, literary character, because it is not at all what Bagger Vance was supposed to be like. So they screwed that up and cast Matt Damon as this great golfer who apparently had never, I don't think had ever swung a golf club before.
Boy, here
before
we
they
go.
cast him in that role. No, it's so bad on so many
He
levels.
doesn't like to swing.
Tin Cup, it's got its moments.
Oof.
It's got a few moments is all I can give it. I can't watch it.
Don Johnson is the bad guy? Come on.
That is a douchey film.
It's really bad. The Gary McCord scene where he takes the thing from the bar and pretends that he's speaking into a microphone.
I lit my balls.
Oh, I hate this so
My
much.
balls go into my body.
Yeah.
When he does that.
I mean,
it makes me hate golf.
Cheech Marin is okay in that movie.
No, not really. Bad. Cheech Marin, not funny, by the way. Kaboom.
Wow, you and Tommy Chong must be having lunch later on.
No, Tommy Chong's really funny. No, I'm just kidding. But have you watched the Cheech and Chong movie? It's almost like
the Corsican brothers.
It's almost like everyone was on acid in the 70s. Like everyone was just like the chaos that's a Cheech and Chong movie. There's no plot. It's just like, hey, look at the various size joints we're smoking.
It's like watch Cheech and Chong, then watch Tim and Eric's $1 billion movie, and that will seem cohesive.
Tim and Eric's $1 billion movie is more cohesive than a Cheech and Chong movie.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
It's deliberately absurd.
Right. We were talking about Copland earlier, at least I was. Hardy, congratulations. So proud of you, Rob. Copland, probably the most underrated movies of the last 35 years, lists a bunch of characters that are not going to move the needle for you guys. But he says this is a real chance for you to assert alpha over No Pockets. Just humiliate him over his lack of Copland knowledge. Think it would really shift the show's dynamics. To put it in BCN terms, you'd instantly become the Oedipus to his Mark Parento. So,
which one do you want to be?
I'll take Oedipus. In this,
I'll take Oedipus too. I think I'm taking anyone over Parento.
Yeah.
I don't want to be Parento for the mustache alone. This says Hardy. I got to ask you, man. Do you hate Hardy? LOL, you seem to effing hate him. It's good radio. I mean, I don't hate him. Do I respect him? Nah.
No. But that wasn't the question. Do you hate me?
No.
Well, could have fooled me.
And finally, Patrick, just so I have some backup here. I used to live on the Carriageway, which I suppose it's called because it's Boston. On Com Ave in Newton, Heartbreak Hill, I would get yelled at just trying to pull out of my driveway, which would take 5 minutes to try to do in the spring. Couldn't stand those nerds. You have to understand, I am not complaining about people running. I am talking about that they actively hate me. What am I doing? Driving a car on the road. They hate me. This isn't, get out of the way, you suck. This is, stop glaring at me and yelling at me. All I'm doing is stopping. I'm 10 feet from you. I see you. You might move your car. I'm not doing anything. I'm sitting here. Go ahead and run. This doesn't make you like some kind of tortured minority. You're decided to run with your legs and wear those clothes and go to Heartbreak Hill running. I have a water fountain out there. Boo, boo, boo. Why don't you put some money in the boot at the fire station, you dumbass?
From Matthew,
you cheap prick.
Never really thought about the term the masters until you were talking about its dark underbelly of racism. Even real estate agents don't use the term master bedroom anymore because there is a hint of slavery in the phrase. Yeah, so, Fred, I'm surprised you didn't pick up on that, as woke as you are.
Oh, wow. Crash just sent me something about where they want to put the new hockey stadium, and it's far. Like, far.
Oh, outside
like
downtown?
Woburn.
Yeah.
Like the Boston.
So this is kind of like the Atlanta Braves ballpark far? Or further than that?
That's like further than that. Way further than that.
Way further than
Way
that.
further than that. That's
Boy.
285. It's like, so 285 is like 495, but even closer. It's in the perimeter, outside the perimeter. 285 is, if you're inside of it, you're inside the perimeter. You didn't want to live outside the perimeter. Everyone wanted to be in the city. You lived in the city. And the city's sprawling and there's houses and stuff. It's not like Boston. And it's sprawling enough. And then for some reason, since 2006, since I've moved here, no one wants to be there inside the perimeter, which is the opposite of everything that was going on when I was there and what made the city fun. Now it just sucks.
Because all the cool stuff was inside. Once you got inside, there's where the cool stuff is.
So everything that like Detroit and Cleveland and these cities like are desperately trying to do to like get people to move back downtown, and which is working, Atlanta's doing the reverse of. So I guarantee you, if we're lucky to live long enough for 30 years, Atlanta's a cesspool. And it's a cesspool of suburban flight. And it's just, you'd think you would learn your lesson with these
other cities,
Rust Belt cities that did the same thing and screwed them. Even Boston did it. I mean, Boston was a dump. And I mean, look at footage from like the late 70s, early 80s around the Garden. That place was awful.
Yep.
And they had to do the effing, think of all the money they spent to redo downtown. They do the big dig to get people back there. So Boston, so for all of you, what Boston did for all those decades and had to spend billions of dollars to get people to come back into the city, Atlanta's actively doing. It's like they're all idiots. Your house is going to be worth nothing. You're destroying the place you live in. So good luck. It's very frustrating because it was a very cool city to live in.
But how's the environment?
Well, I mean, it's geographically there because of the railroad ended there. There's nothing geographic about Atlanta why it should be there.
How's the water?
There's too much fluoride. The government's trying to do something. I don't like it. They're putting mind control drugs in the water. Don't get me started. If you're drinking water, you're a dumbass. I'm joking. Coming up in the stack, I have something that you don't have.
Oh, good. Okay. Why don't you take the stack today?
Just
Scott Zolak just walked in. I want to talk to him.
Just listen. It's not funny. Someone has turned their back on lifelong friends in a move that Benedict Arnold would not be happy with. It's so. No, it's not Rich. Rich, whatever happened with that.
Why would Benedict Arnold not be happy? You're saying it's so bad even Benedict Arnold wouldn't do it?
Yes.
Okay.
It is a Benedict Arnold situation.
I understand.
And it's from someone you all love and I love.
Hmm.
All right. We'll be
Joe Mazzulla?
No, he was here yesterday. Did you
I know.
see
I
Rick
didn't.
and Mary
I
got a
couldn't
picture
stick.
taken with
I
him.
couldn't stick around.
All right. We'll be right back.
Sports Hub headlines.
Celtics yesterday agreed to terms with Drew Holiday on a 4-year, $135 million contract extension. He and 5 other players are questionable tonight when the Celtics play the Knicks at TD Garden. Among those who are not 100% to go, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Kristaps Porzingis. Grandy and Max had the pregame at 7 and the tip-off at 7:30 on the BetMGM 98.5 The Sports Hub Celtics Radio Network. Red Sox lost to Baltimore 7-5 at Fenway Park. They'll play the Orioles again tonight. Garrett Whitlock will start. Round 1 of the Masters will begin at 10:30 Eastern Time after a long rain delay, and the Frozen Four begins today in St. Paul, Minnesota. It'll be BU against Denver and then BC against Michigan. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by the Wilbur Theater. See comedian Anthony Jeselnik live at the Wilbur on April 24th. Is there a problem? It's just Valier Theater on April 25th. You okay, Zoe? Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. I'm John Wallach on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 10 o'clock.
Hi, this is David Pasternak. From the low laser. And you're listening to 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Guys, generally we hear talk about medicine and effective treatments for erectile dysfunction.
missed from the show. It's time for The Stack on Toucher and Hardy.
Show is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more with FanDuel. FanDuel Sportsbook, of course. The Stack is brought to you by Best Ford in Nashua. If you're looking for great deals on new Fords, go to the Best First. That's Best Ford in Nashua. Head to the bestfordnh.com, and you can watch us now on YouTube. Search 98.5 The Sports Hub on YouTube, and then jam that subscribe button. This is my imitation.
Smash it.
This is my imitation of every YouTube video. How do I put together this stepladder? Hey, welcome to Stepladder. How to put it together? How you doing? I'm Fred. I want you now to smash that subscribe button because we have content coming up every week on how to put together various items. Now, a stepladder can be used for many things. Stepping up one step, stepping up two. It goes on for 20 minutes and you're just like, put together the effing thing. I'm frustrated. I want to put this together. Why are you doing this to me? In other news of why are you doing this to people? Headline.
Dateline.
Boy Meets World cast breaks silence on being ghosted by friend, co-star Ben Savage. We didn't have a fight. There was no falling out. There was no animosity. He just woke up one day and decided, I don't want this person in my life anymore. If you're familiar with Boy Meets World, and you are, Wilfrida, Topanga, and Sean, who played Sean, the middle-parted Sean, the one who moved in with his English teacher. Go ahead.
Ryder Strong.
Will Friedle, and whoever played Topanga. Ben Savage played the main character of Boy Meets World, Sean's best friend, Will Friedle's brother. Topanga's lover and husband.
Yes.
Roommate in college. Fischel, who is her real name. So Topanga and Friedle, who played the brother of Fred Savage,
okay,
have stayed close since Boy Meets World, okay?
Mm-hmm.
They started a podcast. It chronicles the perils of childhood stardom. The podcast popularity is certainly warranted. Boy Meets World became a TV staple for millennials of a certain age and ran for 7 seasons. Savage wouldn't talk to the Huffington Post, by the way, but he's announced he's running for Congress as a Democrat.
Oh, you like that?
Ben Savage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You two can go save the whales together.
Maybe I will. Sean had an earring, John?
No, I was unaware of that.
My daughter freeze-framed, and he had an earring, a little stud at the top of his left ear. He's not a homosexual. It was in his left ear.
I see.
Remember when I pierced my right ear and came home and my mom asked me if I was gay?
Yes.
And I said, what if I was?
Right.
And your mom had a heart attack.
And she just went, oh.
Ed Bradley
she went,
from
"That's a good
60
point."
Minutes had an earring, too.
He was friends with the dead. I didn't care for him. He just disappeared from our lives, Topanga said. We were just so close, especially during the time of her pregnancy. He was checking in regularly. He ghosted us. In fact, Will Friedle called him every day for a month, and he wouldn't answer his calls, nor say
Jack
why
Nicklaus
he
is walking down to the tee box, getting ready for the ceremonial first tee shot.
I wonder if he ever turned his back on, like, Gary Player.
You ever have someone in your life or family do that, Fred, that's like, nope, cutting off all communication?
It happened
I'm
to
done
my
with you.
aunt and her son. Well, my aunt had her first son at 16 and then went on to have 5 kids of various living situations. Now, some dead. And she and the youngest kid just stopped talking. No one's really sure why. And now they're both dead. I never think there's a reason for a relative not to talk to a relative.
I'm not saying who. It's happened in my extended family, and it was just all of a sudden one day, cutting off contact with the family, and they speak with like 1 or 2 people who are like also on the fringe, and that's it.
Yeah, I know
they
people.
Just cut off.
I know people
Weird.
very close to me that have cut off relationships with people very close to them. It seems very odd to me. Like it's what if they like died the next day? Then you're gonna like go to your grave knowing you didn't talk to them.
Apparently,
Now people like friends, I see. Like who cares? But with
family is tough. Family, you are joined whether you want to be or not, and without some obvious reason for cutting things off. But it I know that it happens.
Well, it happens, but it shouldn't happen to the cast of Boy Meets World, which really were family. For 7 seasons, they were together under the guidance of Mr. Feeney. 2 quick things in the stack here. The Ravens are trying to figure out what to do with Malik Cunningham, whether to use him as a quarterback or a receiver. Thank you for throwing that in there last night, Wallach. I just chuckled at him. Like, don't even need to read it. The headline is, tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah.
Got that. But also, young Nicholas putting in the full trailer for the Joker sequel. Can someone please tell me, and I'll ask Dan O'Brien since he loves the Tour de France so much, do you know how to pronounce the name of this frickin' movie I already hate?
I don't.
Okay, so
it's going to be a musical about the Joker, which was so creepy to begin with. Now that it's a musical, it's going to be even more diabolical.
Ooh.
It's going to be about a man's descent into madness.
Folie à deux.
You know
According to who?
Huh? According to me.
Joaquin Phoenix, by the way, while you guys make fun of it, Joaquin Phoenix lost a tremendous amount of weight for that role and then danced on the stairs like an effing lunatic.
Did you watch the trailer?
No, I watched the full house.
Mr. Furley. Mr. Roper, sorry.
By the way, Danny Willett is got 2 sticks by the hole on the putting green, and he's putting between them.
It looks like a horseshoe wicket he's using.
And he's lining up the ball very precisely. All these guys got tremendous OCD, huh?
Do you
think you have to have OCD in all seriousness to be a great golfer?
No, I think it has to be a balance of all things.
No, because you have to be so precise and take your time so
but
much.
You can't do that for 4 or 5 hours. You have to have selective OCD.
Well, DeChambeau has OCD on every shot.
Yeah, but
Look I left him speechless, John. In his own game,
just
sometimes
every shot,
Freddie T wins the show.
Every shot, yes, but in between shots, you got to turn it off.
Leave you. Enjoy Zolek and Bertrand.
Oh boy, that's your big victory for the day.
Yep, even Captain Golf
I hope you get
over
hit
here,
by a
I
bus.
left him speechless. If I got hit by a bus, it's Hardy's fault. If I die today, even if I kill myself, it's Hardy's fault.
Not to kill yourself, hit by a bus. I want that to happen, and I hope it does happen.
Well, if you're driving a bus and you hit me today, we can all blame Hardy.
And I will thank you. I'll send you a fruit basket. I'll
right.
send you an edible arrangement.
Everyone enjoy
hit Fred.
themselves.
Hit Fred.
Hopefully I'm here tomorrow.
If you're driving a bus, hit Fred.
Hopefully I'm here tomorrow. We'll see now.
It's not necessary.
All right.
Taking off all of next week. Take tomorrow off, too.
I know. I've got in my mind. I'm taking a vacation. All right. Everyone enjoy their days. That'll do it for us. Bye.
More Toucher and Hardy on the way on the Sports Hub.